Please excuse the mess. The SonarFeed appears to be having a few difficulties.
And just like that, we're back. So we're going to do the best we can with the sound.
Love it.
We are here for SonarFeed episode number 108.
Wow.
Which is hard to believe.
What was the first one I was on? Like 101 or 99?
No, it was like 97.
You got the 96, and they finally got around to me at 97. Now
Yeah.
I'm back.
You're back. See, we didn't wait 96 more to bring you back.
Change my number.
Yeah, I was surprised you responded. I thought for sure you'd be done. One and done.
Wasn't it Miles Davis who performed with his back to the crowd? I feel like Miles Davis tonight,
Yeah,
except
really,
I'm not as talented.
Yeah, really. Okay, this is the host fail. I should have you facing the people instead of me.
Hey,
they don't want to see me. God, I'm terrible. Why does anybody let me do this?
Can I make an announcement to anybody who's listening?
Yeah.
On the Sparkle Donkey Radio Network. Dave Clark at dinner just challenged me, and we're going to go out afterwards. I want everybody to get down here. If you're a Sounders fan, get down to Renton, get down to the Berliner. Dave and I, out on South Main Street, right after the show, are going to play Frisbee golf with the Supporters Shield. Yes. And it's going to be, you're going to want to be here for this. You're not going to want to miss it. You're not going to want to hear about this from your friends. So get down here. I had no idea Dave is a veteran Frisbee golfer. And I'm like, all right, I'm up for the challenge. So we're going to take it out there. And, I don't think we'll damage it, but who knows?
It's all true. I mean,
it's
really
going to happen, and you better get down here. You're going to want to see
miss out on this.
Don't miss out on this one-time occurrence.
So I assume someone's picking up your wife at the airport then.
I don't know. Somebody has.
Okay, good.
I'll pick her
Uber.
up. I'll get out of here.
Uber
I'm parked
first.
in front of a tattoo place. What could go wrong, right? I knew I was in Renton. I'm like, oh, hey, a tattoo joint. Boom, park. Perfect.
This is not your father's Renton.
No, it's not. How are you guys?
Oh,
Good.
man, amazing, man. This is a great weekend.
We're good.
Good.
We're really good. We're glad to have you back.
Thanks.
So what we do normally, as you remember last time, and we left you out from this conversation, we always talk about what's been going on lately. So we're going to start with you.
Oh, okay.
Gasman, what have you been doing since the last time you were on our show? Since this is the second time you've been on.
Well, I've actually I signed a management deal. I'm working on kind of launching Lee Rail's porn career because he has the greatest adult film name in the world. And where is he in Japan?
Philippines.
You know what he's doing?
Yes,
he's going
we
down
do.
the street in Manila right now telling people somebody ought to write a book about the Sounders. Remember? That's my favorite thing about the first appearance fan. He's like, well, you should write about the ECS. I'm like, I did. It's in the book. You should write about Ziggy. Well, that's a whole chapter on him in the book.
Did you watch the episode? It was
You
the
should
best
write about
ever.
Adrian and his struggles. I wrote about Adrian and his struggles. It's all in there, dude. I miss you, Lee. I love you. Is there any chance Lee's listening tonight?
He should be.
Yeah.
He should
I
be.
love you, Lee.
He's got that wonderful inverted schedule, so even though he's in the Philippines,
Yeah.
He's-
where it's
It's like
daytime
a
right
week
now,
from
he's
next
asleep.
Thursday. Yeah, good
Yeah.
for him.
Yeah, so he should be watching.
I couldn't believe it because his last name is R-A-Y-L, and I'm thinking, that's weird. There's only one other R-A-Y-L I ever knew, and that was Jimmy Rail. He was an Indiana high school basketball legend. Oh. And I'm like, so you're related to him? He goes, yeah, he's my cousin. I'm like, you gotta be kidding. We didn't even talk about it until after the show.
Yeah.
And that's when, then we had a beer out back, and we signed a management deal, and now
that's right.
I'm working on getting him into the movie industry. So
So
that's what's been going on.
So a question there to ask how the validity of this.
Yeah.
What's his favorite kind of porn then?
Oh, I can't. No, there's some.
Well, we're
things
on the
within-
speaker, so we shouldn't do
There's
that,
some
yeah.
things within the contract I'm not allowed to talk
Okay.
about. It'll all be there when it
Okay.
when it comes out.
You'll know
When
you
it's
know.
launched.
All right, and then so you obviously are Gasman206 on Twitter.
Yeah.
You have an amazing book.
It's just so much fun, and it's done really well. And if you don't have one, we've got them down here at the bar in Renton.
Yep.
You can come down for the big Frisbee game and get one. It's still available on Amazon. It's available on Kindle. And it's, for and any team that's had the kind of success the Sounders have had this year is picking up new fans. There's new fans every day going, wow, this is kind of cool. This is how it all started. This is a book that'll tell you kind of
Exactly.
how it came together, how it started, how they had the foundation to have this much success, more off the field than on, more business side than on. But I have been a believer from day one in this sport, or in sports, in pro sports in particular. It all starts at the top. You got to have your front office. Everything's got to be in line. Then it kind of trickles down to the winning end of it. Very few times do you see a team that wins in pro sports that has a crummy, dumb front office.
Yeah.
That you got to have the good front office making good business decisions, and then that just naturally leads to success.
So I see an opening here.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to say about Merritt Paulson?
I don't know, man. People are like, you should go write a book about Portland. I'm like, I don't know that. I mean, I knew this story pretty intimately, and I knew the people involved. I'd have to start over in Portland and really build up some credibility.
Well, I think they should too.
Yeah.
But that's a whole other story.
He's entertaining, isn't he? I kind of get a
Twitter,
kick when he goes off, and it's interesting. And again, it can boomerang at any minute, but it shows you it's not something you can take for granted. The Sounders have a pretty good relationship with their supporter groups. Not every team has that, you know.
You're right.
And in Portland, it's really poisonous. It seems to me, and I don't know that much about it, but I see enough of the interactions. Like, wow, this is not good.
No.
Compared to, I think there's some mutual respect between the Sounders and their guys, and while they may not always agree on everything, I think they I don't know.
Yeah, their back office staff get along really well.
Right.
And Adrian and Merritt get along really well.
Right, yeah.
And Casey Keller and Merritt Paulson get along really well.
Yeah.
And yet, everything fan-related, every outward-facing, it's just
It's
horrible.
just an epic fail.
But, you know, and one thing, you've talked to him quite a bit, Gary Wright.
Yeah.
You know him really well. One of the things that he told me...
You should have him in the book next time.
I should. Okay. Lee from Manila says you should write about Gary Wright. I think you'll.
Sorry.
One of his key points is there's no magic formula. It's what's right for your community and your market.
Right.
And Merritt's kind of right for Portland.
Yeah.
He
And
is.
it wouldn't work here.
Right.
And it's the same thing with
Never.
like Real Salt Lake with their kind of NBA version of fan support.
Yeah.
Right.
Works really well for them.
Because that's what they know
It's
down
horrible
there.
here.
That's what they know.
Yeah.
You know.
So-
So it's hard. It's hard to do it, and the Sounders have done a great job. What are we talking about Portland for after that big win last night?
All right, so let's
we
do
got
it.
really sidetracked.
No, that's okay.
No.
This is the way it's going to be tonight, though.
The first 15 minutes are all about sidetracks.
Pretty much.
It is.
All right. Yeah.
Let's do this. Let's back up for 1 second. I didn't do this.
Yeah.
I'm Sonar Riley, a.k.a. Erin Riley.
Yeah, I kind of hijacked the show right at the start.
No, it's okay.
We love it.
And just so you know, these mics, you were last time. These mics are more directional, like direct.
yeah.
But they're better than the old ones.
Oh,
So
wow. Hey.
there you go.
How you doing?
Over here we have
Hugo Garcia, aka at MeVita Seattle on Twitter.
Mike Gastineau,
Hi, everybody.
Gasman 206, which doesn't need an introduction, and then longtime friend of the show,
Yes,
longtime
legend.
listener, longtime no see.
Hey, and am I not right? A veteran?
Oh, and a veteran. Yeah, I don't.
Happy Veterans Day, Dave.
Yeah,
Dave
sir.
Clark
Thank you. Happy day.
Thank you.
Yes.
went out and served our country there. That was pretty nice of him. That's
Yeah.
thoughtful.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Thank you, Dave.
man.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I did volunteer before I met Aaron, and
Yeah.
it might have been different if I'd known him before.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, I was very fortunate. I served in basically the 4 most peaceful years of my adult life.
Yeah.
I got very fortunate. I'm proud of the decision, but I'm more proud of the people I know who have served in the past 10 years.
Yeah.
15
Good for you,
years.
man. Happy Veterans Day.
Yeah.
And I'm Dave Clark at BetterThan or at SounderAtHeart.com, those kinds of places.
Frisbee golf champion.
Yes.
Yes, and I am going to crush gas at Supporter Shield Frisbee Golf later.
It's so cool
love
to
it.
have the trophy out here tonight, too. That is so, you were talking about that earlier. It's so nice that the sport's still at a level where this kind of stuff happens. I mean, it's funny when we talk about we want the sport to grow. If it keeps growing, there'll probably come a day where this
It
just
won't
doesn't
happen.
happen.
You're right.
Yeah, the
It's
people
kind of neat right now.
It is super neat to be so close to the players.
Yeah.
To be able to have you on the show. Roger was on the show, Dave here,
Yeah.
and hang out with us at a bar and have drinks and
That's
take
fun.
photos with the trophies and the silverware.
It's special. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know how else to say it. I mean,
Yeah.
so I've been on Cloud Oba,
Cloud 9.
I'm sorry.
Cloud 9 all day.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry, I've been saying it all night long. But literally, I can't stop smiling.
Yeah.
I'm like the whole day has been, I don't know.
Joy, dude.
It's joy. It is.
Yeah, it is.
And
man.
then so here I am. I'm in Sunday. I'm working all day Sunday, trying to get stuff done. So because I know Monday and Tuesday are going to be terrible.
Yeah,
I'm not going
right.
to work at all. And then I get you to come out tonight, and you to come out tonight, and all the friends out there in the audience. It's unbelievable to me. We're lucky. So
Last night was. I think the narrative for this team right now is what's going on in goal. I think Stephen Fry, the last 3 or 4
Yeah.
games, we've seen there's a new attitude with him. I know from talking with people with the Sounders, they were a little worried. Dave, you probably heard this, about his self-confidence. Part of being a good goalkeeper, it's a combination of confidence, arrogance, amnesia. You got to forget when things go wrong. And I think he's got a lot of that, but I think they looked at it, God, there's times when maybe he's not as confident as he needs to be. Well, the last 3 games in particular, last 4, I guess, he has been lights out back there, including last night.
The last 4 games are the number 1 offense in the league, one of the best teams in MLS history, the LA Galaxy,
Right.
which are also the next 2 games.
Right, yeah. And I hope this continues.
And FC Dallas, which was the 4th best offense in the league this year. He's coming from Toronto. There was a big gamble about what the mentality was. If you watch those Toronto games over the years that he was there, you're like, he has the skill set. Does he have it up in the head? And that's something that you can't know until you know.
Yeah,
You're put in that situation like he has been, and I agree. A lot of us were really frustrated with him throughout the year. It seemed like he had some mistakes that you could only.
But let's remember though, he was hurt. He was coming off injury. He hadn't really played a couple games in 2 years.
Yeah.
So I mean, anybody, no matter what you do, you got to shake the dust off. When you went back on the air, you had to shake some of the dust off. Have not been on the air. I'm guessing. I'm guessing.
Not really,
I mean, you're a pro, but you know.
No,
you did though.
Your point is right on track, and it took him maybe part of the year to do that.
Yeah.
And Dave makes the great point. You know, it's rare when you can say this, but we've just seen the 4 biggest games in his career. He hasn't played in matches at this level.
You're right.
I don't care how good he's been in other. He's never been in these where, hey man, any mistake in these games may at first it would have ended the dream of getting the Supporters Shield, and then it could have ended the dream of getting through the first round and staying alive for another couple of weeks.
I'm getting goosebumps.
Me too, man.
Because I'm just
He's
like,
been lights out.
He
I'm
has
so
been.
happy with
did
how he's playing
anybody
right now.
here sitting at this table in their wildest dreams expect a 0-0 draw last night, or even a shutout in general, at all from our side?
No. I
Not
called
a
like a
million
3-1
years.
score. I thought there was going to be at least.
I was thinking 3-1, 4-2.
Yeah. If you ran 100 times a game on Madden or on FIFA, right? You would 100 times out of 100 you'd have a goal against us, right?
Yeah, you'd figure, and it was weird. I was excited. Don't get me wrong, but I kind of walked out of the stadium feeling like, and it is. I totally get today the casual fans' take on this, which is, wait a minute, what? Now, if you're a soccer fan, you get it. You know the away goal rule, whether you like it or not. Everybody knew about it. That's how you're playing, and that's it. But don't be so into soccer that you can't take a step back and go, no, I can see where a casual fan would look at that and go, so it was 1-1, and then it was 0-0, and we think of how we'd feel tonight if everything was reversed. Think if they played 0-0 in Dallas and it played 1-1 here last night, and you're walking out going, that's it? The season's over?
No.
Well, we had those weird experiences with the Real Salt Lake 2 years ago. Lose down 3-0 on the road, come back, have a great game, an extraordinary performance, but it's only 2 goals.
Yeah.
Right.
So you won the game.
That clearance off the line, though, in that game.
You're done.
Yeah. But last night, but that's different because the final was 3-2 at least. Last night, can you imagine trying to explain to somebody who was in their first soccer game ever last night, say, well,
I was just doing it up here at the bar.
yeah,
There you go.
what do you mean? They tied last week and they tied tonight and we win?
It left me feeling like there was unfinished business.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Which is very appropriate for this season.
Yeah.
Because Siggy's been talking so much. He's like, yep, we got the Open Cup. Not enough.
Yeah.
We got the Supporters Shield. It's not enough.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think the organization, and now there's a segment of the fan base, if I'm a representative of the fan base at all, says we're not done.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
That 0-0, that 1-1, that's not enough.
It didn't feel as. I mean, it feels great because they're moving on and everything.
Exactly.
But it didn't. It was weird last time. I mean, and again, I champion the effort by the defense, and I champion the effort by Fry.
I do too. I really do.
Oh.
So again, now if you want to get your soccer geek hat on, it's like, wow, it was an example of a 0-0 game that was pretty damn compelling.
I watched the highlights again today, and I was like, wow, that really was one of the most exciting 0-0 games you could see with so much on the line. But also,
how many goals could we have scored last night
man.
if a few of those touches had gone over an inch here? I mean, again, they could have 2. No, actually, they only had 1 shot on goal.
They only had 1 on goal, but they had
a lot of shots.
Fabian Castillo had one that he shanked that he shouldn't have.
Yeah.
I don't remember the other one in the first half. They had one that went wide to my left, their right, and one that went the opposite direction where both of them were perfect opportunities that they squandered.
Yeah.
But still, even with that shot on goal, that's still only 3 opportunities for them. Seattle probably had about 7.
Yeah. Don't you guys think that we're seeing out of Fry such an aggressive attitude towards particularly like corner kicks, any kind of a cross
Yes.
where he's really it felt like they got ping-ponged so often this year where the ball comes in, bing, 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 bang, a goal. And it feels like now he's like, forget it. I'm going to use
He's
my
making
height.
the
I'm going to use
decisions
my size.
a lot faster. He's making the decision, committing to it, and not questioning himself.
Right,
You can just
right.
say he's going for it.
Early in the season, he was a slapper and a puncher,
Yes.
and
That's a good way to put it.
now he catches the ball.
Yeah.
And it's such a great change because even the best guy that slaps the ball away or punches the ball away, it's going to wind up at the opponent once in a while, and some of those were dire. But now, you know what? If it's in the keeper's hands, it's definitely not landing at the feet of the opponent.
Right.
Nope.
Right.
And he's been great at it.
And it's such a weird position because he's one misstep away from everybody just killing him.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this today. I was thinking if I had a son, I would tell him, I think it would be better for you to date a Kardashian than to be a goalkeeper. I think there's less of a chance of you getting your heart broken doing that. And it's because, man, when you're a keeper, here he's playing so well. If he happens to come out and have a bad 5-minute stretch against LA, and then that's it, it ends up like a 2-0 thing. It's like, well, Fry cost us the whole thing. It's such a thankless damn job.
It really is. Early in the year, there was a lot of Fry out. We wanted a new keeper. Can we get a new keeper? Especially after some of the mistakes that were like, oh my God, that
The
one
Dallas
where-
win
yeah.
over his head. early in the
Vancouver, he had a
season.
real fight
Vancouver.
with his way out of
Oh,
position.
that kicking.
But like you said, in the last 4 games, when it really mattered the most, the guy just stepped up.
Yeah.
He got it done, man. And our defense as a whole, which is great. That was a whole question mark all year long. Can our defense ever show up?
Yeah.
And, man, whatever Siggy has done the last 4 or 5 games, man.
It's over 300 minutes since a run-of-play goal has been scored against the Sounders.
How many? 300?
Over 300 because it was at LA.
Wow.
Whenever their last goal was scored was the last run-and-play goal because they shut out LA, they shut out Dallas, and then there was the one penalty kick.
What are the greatest individual performances in Seattle sports history in a single game? I don't know what they are. I will put his game against LA that Saturday afternoon up there with anybody in terms of an individual performance in one game where one guy was just he was good last night. He was lights out good against LA that afternoon.
He was, man. He was diving.
It was
flying.
and it's LA. I'm sorry. They're pretty good. And God, he was up
okay.
to the task. Yeah,
Right.
this is going to be such a.
It's destiny, right? It's kismet, right?
Well,
This
yeah.
had to happen, right?
This was definitely
You got to
gonna
get Landy Cakes up there one more time.
Yeah.
We have to do one more pinata
Oh, yes.
in Occidental.
So I don't know if you heard about the pinata that we did.
Oh yeah, was that you? Were you involved in
our
that?
group, our buddies, that was our bar group that got it.
My kids took a swing at it. I'm not gonna lie. They took swings.
Yeah. My thing with the LA series is, and I had this feeling last year too, even though Seattle was knocked out, and I realize there's not much we can do about it, and I'm just screaming into the wind here. It drives me nuts that we're in the middle of the playoffs. Now, if we're going to have playoffs in American soccer, part of a playoff is the momentum builds and the pressure builds, and now we're going to take 12 days off to go play 2 games that just no one's going to, in 2018, no one's going to say, well, you know why we're in a good position in the World Cup is because of that friendly we played in England in 2014.
That friendly on a neutral site.
And I just look at it and I'm like, why is the MLS stopping? Why are they even using MLS players? Klinsmann hates the MLS. Take all the European guys, hot shot,
Exactly.
and let's let the league just keep playing its playoffs. It just. I use this phrase a lot. I think soccer sometimes is its own worst enemy.
You're right, man.
And I know in America, so you've got MLS and they've got an agenda, and the U.S. men's team's going to have an agenda, and obviously FIFA has an agenda, and they don't care about any of that other stuff, and they got to have these weekends and all that. I get it. But boy, the MLS needs to think about, maybe rejiggering things a little bit so that maybe this week, this November weekend that they always set aside, because it's every year, right? They have it.
Yeah.
Maybe make it the champion. Make it after the conference finals.
Have it be the gap week
It's the
between
gap for the
before the MLS
championship.
Cup. Give you it's kind of the Super Bowl move to a 2-week build-up.
Yeah, to me that would make more sense rather than this idea. Okay, now we're going to take. The Sounders don't play at home again for 19 more days after this amazing thing. I said, if you're trying to build momentum and sell tickets and get advertising, it just to me it's a silly way to do it. But I don't think you're going to get everybody to agree to change it. So. Certainly not out of this humble podcast.
You
At a
never
bar.
know.
What if Sepp Blatter's tuning us in on his ham radio down in the basement, sitting there in his underwear, smoking a cigar, drinking a scotch, going, "Oh, these guys actually have a
He has
pretty
a
good
bunch
idea."
of North Koreans monitoring us that the Qataris are paying. Let's
They
be
might
honest.
They might be.
So are you up for a drink?
Am I up for a drink?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm up for
Okay.
a drink.
Yeah, come on in. So
What do we have?
we have our friends from Sparkle Donkey
Oh,
here.
Sparkle Donkey Tequila, right?
Now, which ones are these? Are this is the hot donkey or the regular donkey?
I'm sorry. That's one of the movies we're working on right now. I didn't know you had the title.
Oh, yeah, okay. So it's the yes. Okay. So it's the regular.
It's the dialogue line Lee's working on. Is this the hot donkey? Sparkle Donkey.
This is the Sparkle Donkey. This
Where's
is for
that?
you.
Where's Sparkle Donkey from? The
You're
name,
local,
I mean.
right?
Where's that? No, but where,
Reposado.
You guys are local.
Local. Yeah. This is a
where'd
local
the name,
Seattle.
Where'd the name come from?
Where'd the name come from? Where'd the name come
I
from?
handed mine to him.
Two words you never expect to go together. We just love the
2 words that would never go together. Sparkle
Two words
Donkey.
never
That's
go
true.
together.
That's a marketing guy right there. That's it. 2 words, whatever. They're sitting around the office one day, whacked on tequila, going, "All right, you say a word, Sparkle. Okay, you say a word,
Oh, yeah.
Donkey."
That works.
Yeah, not me.
Thanks, guys. That's great.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers to the Sounders, man.
The
To
Sounders,
Stephen
the
Fry and
Gasman,
the
the
Sounders.
Stefan, Sparkle Donkey.
Yep. And to our friends here with us and online.
That's
You
good.
boys.
That's-
I was telling you about that. It's a sipping thing.
Yeah, no,
my
yeah,
mother-in-law
that's
lives in New Mexico. She'd be
No.
very disappointed in me if I was shooting tequila. In New Mexico, you go in most places, they have a tequila list,
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
Scotch
Oh,
list
yeah.
in places. I mean,
So when I went to Mexico, we did a bunch of like Don
Man, that's
Julio,
good.
1942.
God, I wanted to say mushrooms. I went to Mexico, we did a bunch of mushrooms. I don't remember anything about it.
Oh, I remember it very well. That is.
Hugo's awesome. Hugo's like, we joke on this. We should be on the airplane together,
Pretty
man.
much, it would be a fun ride.
It would.
Oh, God.
It would indeed. So, yes, I wish there wasn't a big gap between the two, but there is, and so
But the gap should be planned.
They
It
should
really
just
should.
work
You have a
around
great
it,
point.
yeah,
That
yeah.
One of the things the NFL does is, one, they handle marketing of sports better than anybody else. But
Right, right.
when they decided to go to 2-week break for the Super Bowl, it was a great idea because it gave everybody, it gave the sponsors, it gave the fans, it gave the entire world 2 weeks to get ready for their
Right.
marquee event.
Yeah, kind of take a deep breath and get excited for it. And now we're taking 2 weeks between series, and then the final's going to happen so fast. So, but whatever, this is what it is, and you know, I think the Sounders, man, they got their hands full with these guys.
They do. They will.
They got their
In a
hands
sense,
full.
it's almost. I agree. Momentum is one of the greatest things in sports that you want to have on your side. But I think getting 2 weeks to get ready, even though I'd rather not have them, I'll take it. I'll take it because it is going to be a handful.
Well, yes, you've seen this this before. I've been saying this a lot. Oddly enough, winning a series means that every podcast in the nation wants me on this week. You guys booked me well ahead of time, but like all the national guys wanted me on this week.
Yeah.
The
And-
ones that matter.
LA has been the best team since the Sounders entered the league. If you want to be the best,
You gotta beat the
eventually you have to
best,
unseat them, right? And,
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's really compelling. It's a really compelling storyline that you don't have to like soccer to
Yeah.
understand. You know Landon
Yep.
Donovan.
Exactly.
I talked to a friend of mine last night who's a pretty smart sports guy, and he's convinced it's fait accompli. He says it's like the NBA. They're going to make sure Donovan gets to the championship in his last year.
Nope.
Donovan, New York.
Nope.
Donovan, Thierry Henry.
It's all
Ain't gonna
rigged.
happen.
It's all. I mean,
If this was the NBA, it'd be
well,
Wait.
Yeah.
Wait. You mean RSL?
No.
No, I'm joking because our friends from Real Salt Lake are listening to this after the NBA comment.
Oh,
about
yeah.
Real Salt Lake. They're loving that. So
I have a lot of respect for that organization, but yeah.
is there any chance Pops is listening? Because if he is, Pops, go to bed. You left us. Go to
right.
bed.
A lot of people have said this, but I'm going to take the opportunity as well. When Matt Gash left the Sounders, they had great games, and then Salt Lake laid the egg that the Sounders.
This is great. Two of Matt's oldest friends just pile driving him right now, letting him have it.
That's
Sorry,
what friends
Pops.
are for.
Oh
You don't
my
need
God.
enemies.
Well, and it's
are
interesting
you
because
serious?
I mean, I said it, and
I
it's
know.
recorded.
I was thinking it, but you said it.
hey, it's
I
interesting.
wasn't the
though.
first person to say it.
Think about it. I mean, yeah, we know LA is going to be a handful. I'm not so sure I'd be real thrilled with RSL either, man. They've always been a thorn in the Sounders' paw, and you know, look, this is the time of year where you're not running into teams that stink.
If you're in the Final Four of any sport and you're
Everybody's
like,
good.
oh, this guy's easy. No, they're not. They're
Yeah,
the
right.
Final Four of your sport.
Right.
You don't get easy opponents.
Yeah.
Like,
It's funny. It's like, I have a fun time arguing with Husky fans. Remember, was it 2004 when they lost that crushing game to Connecticut? They lost to Connecticut twice in the NCAA.
Oh, God.
And 2004, 2005, and they would have played George Mason to go to the
they
Final
would have
Four.
had the easy one that year.
And Husky fans are like,
Relatively.
well, we'd have gone to the Final Four. And I'm like, what are you talking about? George Mason beat everybody.
Yeah.
Who's to say? Now, granted, the Huskies got...
Would you have felt better if you lost to George Mason in the Elite Eight?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah,
No.
it's just the nature of sports. At some point, you whittle down to teams that either side's going to win. Like,
Yeah, it's why it's so good because everybody's playing well. When you get to this point, anybody who's alive is playing well.
Yeah.
Even if they're hurt or banged up, it doesn't matter. They're winning and they're confident.
Exactly.
They're almost always coming off of their best
They're
performance
there for
of
a
the
reason.
year. So,
LA's offense was incredible against Salt Lake.
Oh my God!
And I've gotten so many questions. How does Seattle stop that? And I go, well, they just faced the number 4 offense in the league, and they kept them to 1 goal, and the only goal was a penalty kick.
So
how do they stop it? The same way they stopped
exact
Dallas.
way.
I'm glad you brought that up because now I don't feel so bad about this 1-1 thing and they lose it. Because that penalty kick, I went on a rant
Bull
last
hockey.
time I was here. I just think in a sport, I want to be Sepp Blatter. I want to make sweeping changes to that. Actually, I don't want to make sweeping changes, but one change I would make
Gas for
Taking it home.
commish.
is to the penalty kick, man. In a
Hashtag
sport
gas
that
for commish.
sport that prizes scoring, it's precious to score a goal in this sport, and yet, if you're tripped completely out of position to kick a goal, you get a point blank. It'd be like if every penalty in the NFL was okay. First and goal to 1.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, wait a minute. That doesn't. It just. And so I've talked with some friends about this. And I don't know. You could move the penalty kick spot back a little bit. You could let the goalkeeper move a little bit. You could say the penalty kick comes from where the penalty occurred. So okay, I tripped Hugo over here on the right side.
Actually, I like that.
He didn't really have a great look, but you know what? I did trip him.
Yeah.
He gets the penalty kick from there. So that way the keeper now is like, okay, I got a little advantage. I'm going to cut
I don't know
down
that
the
I've
game.
ever heard that comment
They're
before.
coming in
about-
fast, man. It's
Yeah,
like
man.
I'm like Michael Keaton in Night Shift. There's ideas.
Or even
Paul
have the
Starkist.
even have the penalty box not this absurd rectangle, because let's be honest, if you're in the upper elbow of that rectangle, you don't have a great shot. If you're right along,
yeah.
make it a
But
a
where you're
semicircle.
fouled, where you get the penalty kick
That
from.
makes a lot of sense.
Oh my God, that would be outstanding.
It's like here's
Too much sense, though.
Here's the
It's too much
penalty,
sense.
and now we're giving you point blank. And you know, so I run this idea as passionately as I am right now. I run it by Stephen Fry, and he goes, "I hate it." And I'm like, "Well, if I can't get you to buy
You
into
can't
it."
convince the keeper to have a better idea. You're like,
and Fry's point, very, very soccery, is hey, you know what? This is the rule, and you can't foul a guy in
Yours.
here. And when you
Yours.
do, and you know, it's funny because that was in July when we had him on the show. We had him on again in October, and in August, if you'll remember, against Houston. Weren't they down 1-0 already, or maybe it was 0-0, and they weren't playing well. They'd lost a couple of games. They'd only won one
Like
game
right
in
after
like
the World
30
Cup.
days after the World Cup break, and they had a penalty kick, and he stopped it. And I'm not so sure that wasn't the fulcrum of it was one of the fulcrums of the season. It was one of the points, a tipping point where, hey, wait a minute, because it kind of felt like things were spiraling away a little bit.
Yeah,
and
well,
the
I
next
think
thing
we
you know,
maybe started with like a couple
great
losses.
stop, and then they come back and they win. It's like, wow. Because Fry's, he's a keeper. He's always under the gun.
Yep.
So anyway, I forgot that Dallas's goal was a penalty kick.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
feel
it.
so bad now about
No, it's not. It's not
winning
a big,
it in 1-1.
that's like half a goal, really.
It really
Yeah,
is.
it doesn't count.
That's a good
And
idea
he should
too.
lose points for celebrating afterwards.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, right.
Jeez.
right. I mean,
So-
come on.
I'm gonna say this. So the person sitting in front of me in GA last night, I don't know her name, said that Michelle, the celebrating penalty
The
dude,
Dallas player, not the
yeah,
person sitting
yeah,
in front of you.
No,
Right, right.
Michelle.
Michelle is the guy from Dallas who scored the penalty kick. It was
Right.
was private messaging her about her availability after the game last night.
Did she show you?
Yes, the message.
Yeah. And was he?
Yes.
Well, I mean,
No way.
Ask Sarah.
Athletes are.
wait a minute. A pro athlete
I know.
trying to hit on a woman?
No, but like,
Knock me over with a feather.
but like sitting right in front of
God
you.
damn it! All right, fine.
Sitting
I
right-
thought it was like.
Sitting right in front of you.
Are we gonna tell the? Should we tell the Gary Payton story? I mean, that's public knowledge, right?
Yeah, yes.
Which one? I don't know which one you want to tell.
The coming back from the road trip, and like the wife throws everything out on the front lawn
had a lot
because
of his
the
stuff,
rumor
yeah.
comes out that it
man.
was it Salt and Pepper?
Yeah.
He was with some Atlanta-based.
Him and I don't know. They were supposedly with Salt and Pepper, which led to my friend Ed Wyatt delivering one of the great lines in pop culture history. Well, if he was with Salt and Kemp was with Pepper, who had Spinderella?
That's also one of the disadvantages of MLS getting bigger is that the typical athlete attitude towards life is we're going to see more of it.
Yeah.
I mean, look, it wasn't like he was sending her these during the match.
No. This is like the week leading up. My point was, so
Was she hot? This show
Like,
is it's really taking
my wife would be watching.
pro athletes, man. And look, now let's go back to what we were just talking about. So he's coming to Seattle, and in his mind, we're gonna win.
Right.
We're gonna win, and we're gonna have 12 days off. I'm getting a hold of this gal. I mean, they're come on, they're guys.
He's gonna have about 100 days off.
Yeah, now he has
Dallas
all the time in
lost,
the
but
world.
whatever.
But he's calling her.
I'm sure he was.
Hey, you want to come down to
I bet
Dallas?
he was.
All right, so let's do this. Let's take a break for a moment. Let's step back. Sorry, not a break. Let's talk about. You were there at the game.
Yeah.
You were there at the game.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe you were there. I'm not sure. You were there. I was there. How far down your body did your heart fall when you saw Ozzy grab for his ankle and then his hamstring? But I swear to God, he grabbed for his ankle first.
Yeah.
How far down? And then following that up with, what were your feelings on Azera? Not his results, but to start with when he first came out. Because there was a lot of people around me who were like, when they saw Azera, they were like, we're screwed. And we're trying to be somewhat PG tonight because we're on the loudspeaker, so that's why I didn't say the normal word I would say.
Yeah.
But anyway, so
I gotta be honest, I didn't even see it.
Oh.
And all of a sudden, so you can imagine, I'm sitting there watching all of a sudden, I'm like, they're subbing in Azera for Ozzy? What the hell happened? Somebody says, oh, he grabbed his hamstring. I'm like, oh boy, that's bad news.
Yeah.
Not so much. I didn't necessarily have as bad a feeling about Azera because I just, this team has picked each other up in situations like this. Look, Ozzy from day one, and I think it still is the truth, despite the fact he's getting a little older, he's the straw that stirs the drink on this team.
pretty
I mean,
much.
and he's a great example of how hard this sport can be to explain to people. It's like, look, man, they've got exciting guys at the top. I mean, we're going to go a long way before we see Dempsey and Martins, Nagel, these guys that are just gunners up there. They've got a great back line. We're talking about but boy, that middle with Ozzy's like a substitute teacher that doesn't take any crap from anybody. He is patrolling the middle, and it's his area.
There's a reason
man.
why he's
That's a
the
great
honey badger.
analogy.
And the middle for him was from like the 20 to the 20 yesterday.
Do we know anything? Have they said anything today about
he's
it?
going to be back, supposedly,
Yeah,
right?
I was at practice today. Siggy's like, he's going to get the week off. We're having a light week this week, and next week he'll be on the field practicing with us, and he'll play
It
in
was
LA.
his birthday today,
He
too.
just wanted his birthday off. He wanted to spend time with his daughter. Come on.
He said to Ziggy, he said, what are you
But then
doing?
again-
I was just trying to waste time. My hamstring's
Why
fine.
am I
Why
off?
are you taking me out? Look at this. It's good.
Then again,
did you-
Siggy's also the guy who has at times said he'll be back in 2 to 4 weeks, and 6 months later,
yeah.
the guy plays. And I mean, that's the nature of a coach. One, you don't want to give the opposition any kind of advantage.
Right.
And two, sometimes doctors are wrong about healing.
Right. And sometimes it takes a day before you even know. I mean, look at Mebane. Nobody thought Mebane was going to be gone for the year on Sunday. Like, he's going to be out for a few weeks, and now today's out for the year.
That
So
scares
it
me,
can take,
man.
and with Ozzy, it may take a day.
Yeah.
Although it sounds like they're
Yeah, it seems like it's a slight hamstring issue. So
But yeah, I was watching that, and I was down in GA, and Clint and him kind of did one of these weird when they were both going for the ball, and it almost looked like Clint clipped his heel.
Yeah.
And I thought, because the way he went down and they was grabbing his ankle, I swear to God, I gotta go back and watch it, which I haven't today, because I was on the Hella Greedy Supporter Shield tour all day long today.
so awesome.
I swear to God, he grabbed his ankle, and I thought Achilles. And I was like, I thought he was done. And then he got up and walked, so I knew it wasn't, and he was grabbing his hamstring. But then
I love sports. We're all like first aid experts
I know.
now.
Yeah,
right?
awesome, I know.
Yeah, and then people are like on here like
He
this
walked
is what
off.
I
It
heard, it's a
clearly
slight
means he's good.
hamstring.
I've seen guys
Swing
walk
for
off the field and
goal.
retire for life.
That's awesome. So we say it's twitch versus pull.
Yeah.
It's what?
But
Is it a strain or a pull? I'm confused.
well, if you strain it, do you pull it, or if you pull it, you strain it? But I thought when Azira came in, I was totally fine personally. Because I like Azira. I mean, I'm not saying he's equal to Ozzy. He's not an Ozzy level player, but I love Azira in our lineup. I want to see him play more, but I don't want to take anybody out to put him in. He's a great player in my mind.
You got a silver lining in a little bit and say, okay, if Ozzy is hurt, which he was, what a great chance for I'm going to sound like
Someone
Pete
to step
Carroll
up.
for a minute
Yeah,
right
right.
now. What a great chance
Someone
for
to
him to
compete.
step in and compete in a really crucial game. This isn't, whoever Chicago in June.
Yeah,
where it doesn't matter. This mattered
This
last
is
night.
for all the
when they
fucking
looked at him and
marbles.
said, you know what, you're going in, and he's like, really?
Yeah.
He ripped that uniform off so
Yeah,
quick too.
yeah.
And he hadn't been warmed up. Nagel was the scheduled sub at the time.
Yeah.
So Nagel's sitting there like ready. He's like, yeah, I'm going in.
Right.
And a zero like WWF stripped. Like, bam, I'm here.
So now, what minute was that? 65,
58.
58. So now, even if Ozzy's 100% healthy and can just go the rest of the way, this guy has got now 35 minutes of crucial. You cannot make the slightest mistake soccer under his belt in a must-win situation.
And
so we'll silver lining it.
Exactly,
We hope
exactly.
Ozzy's
Looking
okay.
at the good
But wow, what a good situation.
But how awesome was it that he drew that foul like 30 seconds into being on the field?
Yeah, yeah.
And people around me were like, "Oh shoot, what's going on?" He like gave he earned the foul, and I'm like, "This is the best." I mean, that to me that was a
He
great.
did a great job.
Phenomenal.
And what's really impressive is Andy Rhodes is going to be healthy in 2 weeks as well.
I know.
Great point.
So they have tactical options now.
Yes.
Ozzy's clearly the best.
Right.
But if you have to go Azira Rose, Siggy can make that choice based off of matchups, strategy, all that. It's what he gets paid to do, and it's going to be great that a worst-case scenario right now looks like Alonso, a worst-case scenario.
Right.
Alonso's out, but you have Azira, Rose, Evans can go in the middle, and you can start both Nagel and Papa.
Right.
Siggy's got options, and it's a really great thing. And Bruce Arena has no idea what direction that's going.
Yeah.
So I got a question for you, or a comment here.
right.
Brasbit said, "SonarFeed Sports Medicine Clinic. Take 2 shots of Sparkle Donkey
Yeah, right.
and a Golazo. Wake up in Lee's bed in the morning."
Ozzy, if you want to come down here, we have a complimentary, how much is left in it? About a half a fifth of Sparkle Donkey that we'll give you. Not even a half, but that'll make you feel a lot
That's
better.
right.
tonight.
It was a half before you gave it to me.
You drink about 3/4 of that and you rub the rest of it on your hamstring and you wake up tomorrow, you feel great, except your head hurts. And if we're talking about defense, can I wax poetic? Well, not poetic, but God, I love Zach Scott and I love his story. And I love that 2 days before they played their first game, he didn't have a contract yet. And they basically, Chris Henderson walks up to him on the pitch after practice and says, "Here it is, take it or leave it.
Yep.
You have no negotiating power. You either are signing for the minimum or you're at." And this is 2009.
So this guy, I'm sorry to interrupt. This guy is the one that helped to get that Pinata going. This is
Oh,
Luis.
yes.
So my story really sucked about Zach.
No,
Now we're talking about
No,
Pinata.
that was
Zach,
great.
I'm sorry. I was
I'm-
trying to get
no,
you.
that's a great story.
What
Now,
we
I got
need is a
follow-up
Zach
to that.
Scott Pinata.
I'm going to do some reset
He's
here.
Captain Pinata, huh?
Yep.
You mentioned that in 2009. In 2012, I wrote, this is the season recap. This is Zach Scott's best year ever.
Yeah, and this is it probably.
And guess
That's
what?
been the narrative,
In 2013, I wrote that same story. And in 2014, when this season eventually is over and I review Zach Scott, I am again going to say this is Zach Scott's best year ever.
I mean, I know they're not going to do it. It would be awesome if they even have a DP. We're just going to give you $1 million.
But one of my favorite
Here you
scenes
go,
after
money.
After we won the Supporters Shield, though, was seeing him come out with his family, his kids.
yeah.
He brought him up to the goal, like right up to the goal, and showed him the whole section.
Yeah.
And that to me was like so special because he's showing his kids, his family, like these are the guys, these are the people who we do all this for. This is why my wife was let me, his story about his wife, letting him do it.
When I told you last time that I was not a fan of soccer until we announced while I was at the Hawks game when Drew Carey raised the 12th man flag. I had no idea about American soccer at all, right?
Yeah,
I had no idea. And I remember the first year watching Zach Scott, the sub, right, the guy not really being out there, taking his kids on the field when they were like this small, and he was playing with them on the field, and he does that still today. They were out there last night while I was getting the supporter shield handed to me, and I was like, you guys can have that for a moment, because you watch Zach Scott out there, he's a different level of player, and I'm a dad, and I mean, my kids are like everything to me, and it's like,
Leo does it. Tyrone Marshall did
Leo,
it.
man.
yeah,
Yes.
Marshall, yeah.
Leo is the most. Someone mentioned it earlier, and I love the comment. He's the most underrated Sounders player of all time.
Another guy, he fits in
In
that
MLS,
mold of that.
yes.
One last thing on Zach. Think about this, though. He will tell you that, so 2 days before the MLS is getting ready to start, and he doesn't have a contract yet, and he will tell you that he had talked with his wife, and he says, look, if they don't offer me a contract, I'm going to retire, and we're going to go back to Hawaii, and we're going to live a great life. And so think about that, because he says, look, he goes, you know what, I loved soccer, but I didn't love it enough to move my family all over the country chasing the dream. We had a 6-year run here. It had been great. Think of that he was ready to walk away and no hard feelings, say, you don't want me, okay, I quit. I'm not going to play anywhere else.
Crazy.
And now 6 years later, and he's an absolute key to where they're at right now.
He's also a lot like you. He's an adopted native.
Yeah.
Like,
he's been here long enough.
he might go back to Hawaii someday.
Yeah.
But Seattle's very much a home for him.
Yeah.
And there are a couple other. Brad Evans has developed into that as well. Roger Levesque became a Seattleite, even though this isn't home.
Guys do that, though. Sport, that's one of the cool things about sports. Jay Buhner became a Seattleite. He's from Texas, for crying out loud. Edgar became a Seattle guy. I mean, you think Max Strong is a Seattle guy. He's from Georgia.
It's really amazing the type of connection that athletes can develop to the community.
Right.
That, like, I moved around in the Army a lot. I didn't develop that connection to those communities because I moved every 2 or 3 years, and athletes move every 2 or 3 years most of the time. But even like Jeff Nelson, who's moved away from Seattle because he's big time now. Yeah. He still considers Seattle a home for him, and it's a really interesting thing. And I think it's impressive that in Zach Scott's case, he's making common man money, and Seattle's home.
Yeah.
He can basically live where he grew up or here, and Seattle's home. Whereas guys in the major sports are making live wherever you want in the world kind of money. And they still make the choice oftentimes to retire here, John Olerud.
And they connect. I mean, they connect with cities.
They do.
No doubt.
And with fans and supporters.
Yeah.
All right, so I've got a couple questions. This is like the third time it's been asked.
All right. All right.
So, Brendan Vaughn, BM Vaughn, Elars59 on Twitter. What is Mike? I know we'll go back to the game, but what is Mike Gasman? What are you doing next? There's rumors about a concussion book, which I had no idea. I had not heard that rumor.
About a concussion book?
That's
Are you
what it
writing
says
about
here.
concussions?
I don't know, maybe. No, I don't know. I haven't heard anything about that.
Okay.
I haven't heard anything about
What are you doing next? Are you writing another book? Because the fans here want to buy a book.
I had an idea.
Want more books.
I want to sell them books. Trust me. I got a whole crate in the car. I'll sell them books all night long.
Would you sell me some books after the show?
I'd be happy to sell you some books after the show. I'll give you
I'm
a
going to
deal.
talk about it at the end of the day.
I may give you the U.S. Open Cup deal. That's $4 off. $1 for each Open Cup that's been won.
We're doing it for
we
charity.
pass the savings on to you is the thing.
We're doing charity.
We have wide, clean aisles and acres of free parking.
It's like
so I get free parking.
Still bargain at twice the
I
price.
get free parking and a good book?
Yeah.
when you were working in Montana.
That's right, yeah, that's right. So I got a couple ideas for books that I'm swimming around with right now. I'm meeting with some people and talking. To be honest, I haven't really done a lot for a while because I've really focused on the book. I wanted to take a little time and do nothing, which I've done a marvelous job of that this summer. I really did nothing all summer.
Hey, it's really hard to work one Tuesday evening a week.
It's hard, man. I was wiped out. I am doing a lot of corporate speaking with the book now.
Which I thought I saw that with the selling construction guys.
Construction. Yeah. I got a few more on the calendar, and I'm basically coming in and telling the story of the Sounders in a way that says, hey, whatever your company is, there's some pretty basic things here you can pick up from this book that if you do, your company, I think, will have success. And so I've had a lot of fun with that, and I'm starting to see that pick up a little bit. And I'm meeting with people. I really don't know. It's weird right now. I have no idea what's going to happen.
I have to do a quick aside here.
Go ahead.
I approached Gas with a book idea, and his response was, "Dave, you write it."
Yeah, he was like, you should write this. I'm like, I don't want to write it. You write it, man.
It's like, all it takes, you write 2 to 3 articles a day. If you keep them on the same subject every day, and guess what? In 6 months, you've written a book.
Yeah.
And so it's pretty great. I worked with Gas 15 years ago, but to see, like, guess what? You want to write a book? You have a book idea?
Yeah.
Guess what, Dave? It's a good idea. Write it.
Okay, so can I? No, sorry, I don't want to interrupt you.
No,
But I
that's
do. I
fine.
do want to. But
Yeah,
but
it's no problem.
but-
I worked with
I've
Graz
done
for
it.
14 years. Trust me. Getting interrupted is like breathing for me.
As it goes to the tequila. I love
That's
it.
right.
But
Yes, sir.
so you came on the show after we drank with you at the Open Cup.
Uh-huh.
And then I saw you like 2 weeks later
Uh-huh.
at Merchants before the game.
Right.
You don't know us from Adam. I've known you for 20 years, like
Yeah.
as a fan. of you.
Right.
I mean, I literally, and I told you this last time, I fangirled last time, and I'm gonna do it again. I watched you for 20, or listened to you for 20 years,
Yeah.
and you said to us, to me, but I was the only one there, but you said that we have something that we're doing here that's, we're not special anyway, but we're doing something that's cool and unique and different, and we should keep running with it. So now I'm hearing you tell him that too.
Yeah.
It's like you are that motivational speaker that's not that jerky motivational speaker you see in the terrible movies.
Who was Chris Farley? Who was
Yeah.
That's who I am.
Down by the river.
Hey, see Bill Shakespeare
yeah,
over
yeah,
there?
Exactly, yeah. But that your words to me. We went out and bought new mics.
Yep.
We're doing a little bit different format.
A
It's not
board.
perfect yet, but we're getting.
Yeah.
But but you're telling us. I don't know. I'm not going to open you in this way, but we're telling us common folk who are doing this show that listen, your guys been doing this for your whole career. That we're just doing it for fun, but keep going with it, run with it, and do more. And it's fun and exciting, and we're getting bigger and better guests. Partly because you said, just go,
Keep doing
do
it. Yeah, man.
There is
It was
So
something.
thank you. Like I said, thank you.
inspirational.
By the way,
Welcome.
Seriously.
And here's the thing. There is something about people that want to create that's really attractive to me. It's a weird thing. Most people don't know what it's like. Now, I'm not saying it's better than trying to cure cancer or anything. It's
No.
But I mean, to sit here and go, let's create something, and let's, and boy, sticking your shingle out there and going, okay, let's see.
And
let's see if we're any good at this. And you guys are good at it. You've created this fun atmosphere. I mean, that's why I go see bands still. I love seeing young bands.
And old bands.
I love old bands. I like anybody that can create something. And I mean, sometimes I sit back and think, wow, I created a 4-hour show. And it wasn't just me. I had a whole group of people helping me. But we created a 4-hour show every day for all those years. I'm real proud of that, man. I mean, because we're creating it out of thin air most days. I mean,
we listen to it and religiously. And I told you this last time you were here. My radio listening, my sports radio listening, went from about here, about 4 hours a day, down to about an hour a week.
Wow.
On Tuesdays.
Call me if you're bored. I'll just talk to you.
I don't have your number. You probably have it for a good reason.
Clark's got it. He'll give it to you.
No, but for real.
It's fun to watch people create stuff. And I think within soccer media in particular, this is I don't know if it's the future, but these are the kind of shows. And again, I just get so tired of people beating up the media for for either covering soccer, covering it the wrong way, or not being passionate. How about find the people that are covering it and embrace them and support them? And to me, there you go. And I think the way soccer works with its grassroots attitude and all that, I think these are the kind of shows. I think Adrian Hanauer ought to come down and be on this show. I think Ziggy should come down and be on the show. I think the Sounders should embrace all of these things.
Can you help?
Schmetz is
Can you-
watching. Brian
but they
Schmetzer is
should.
literally watching this show.
Can you
Now,
help, can you
here's
help
the
that
thing.
happen?
Well, Schmetz is watching it because Schmetz loves me. Hi, Schmetz. How are you?
We love him
And
too.
we have
No,
tequila announcements.
That's right. You should come down here. No, here's the thing. Is those guys, and it's hard. They're doing it all. They're kind of busy right now. They're doing a lot of things.
Not now,
But
but
the
yeah.
fact of the matter is, everybody still on the front lines of this is responsible for helping it continue to grow.
Yes.
And it's funny, I'll watch people like in Seattle make fun of other teams' supporters or other teams, and I'm like, don't do that, man. We want everyone to kind of come along behind us. What's going to make this league great is if there comes a day where the worst supporters group, the worst team in the league has support, level to what Seattle once had, and Seattle's gets bigger and stronger. That's how you're going to get the thing to grow. And I think everyone in the sport, it's incumbent upon them to just continue to do that, and shows like this are a good part of that. I think it's great what you guys do.
I love your point. You don't have to get angry about somebody not doing it. Just go support the people that are.
Yeah,
that's great.
The Seattle Times covers a lot of Seahawks stuff. Matt Pence does a good job.
Hey,
He does.
the
Don
Times-
Ruiz at the Tacoma News Tribune.
It's unbelievable.
Really
we wanna
great
get him
stuff.
So we want to
gotta
do
get
a
him
round
on,
table
dog.
with
Get
all those
Ruiz.
guys
Ruiz
too.
will come down
But
here.
also
if you tell
come to
Ruiz
my
you have
blog.
tequila, he'll be here in 3 minutes.
But your point, I mean, it's really strong.
Do it
You
right
don't
now.
have to have an aggressive anti-stance.
Right.
Just channel your efforts in positive ways, support the people that are doing it, and guess what? You'll get more of it.
I tell a story all the time, and this is it's for all soccer fans. If you want to spend your time focusing on the negative, be my guest, I guess. But I used to tell this about working at KJR, and it's applicable. That I'm a huge NASCAR guy, and everybody there gave me crap about it. Everybody, NASCAR, yeah. And I would sit there and go, all right. And on Sundays, you know what I'd do? I'd spend 4.5 hours watching the NASCAR race. And you know what I didn't spend 1 second thinking? Damn it, this would be better if everybody else liked it. It's like, no, I like it, and it's cool. And if you don't like it, that's fine.
I'm having fun.
I'm having a great time. And I think there's too often where you get caught up in that aspect of it. You find the people that do like it and move forward and embrace the people. I saw Softy's involved in something on Twitter tonight. Softy had Ziggy on today. Back off a little bit, The Softy's not proclaiming himself a soccer expert. He had Ross on yesterday. He's trying to give the thing exposure.
If your aggression is towards Softy, a guy who literally said, I'm going on vacation tonight, and flew himself to the 2010 World Cup in South Africa
To go see his
on
neighbor.
zero notice.
To go see his neighbor who had tickets.
Yeah, that guy hates soccer.
Does he?
Guys?
No.
I know.
I was thinking too. So I was like, the people that want to get mad at people who don't know the sport as well. It's like, man, if you spent your whole day correcting people who don't know as much as you do, you're going to be busy all day.
Somebody's wrong on the internet.
I think Gas just challenged us to do a shot off of the supporter shield, is what I heard.
What?
I heard.
Doing a shot off the supporter shield. Don't get me involved in that. I saw that.
So
We're doing frisbee later.
I have a serious question for you.
Okay, next question. Next point.
No, this is a serious question. What time do you have to leave?
Oh hell, I don't know. I got to pick my wife up tonight at the airport.
What time?
I don't know. Shall I check flight tracker?
No,
and
no.
see?
I'm
I'm
supposedly
trying to
10
find.
o'clock.
I'm trying to
okay.
find your wife. What time do you need to leave?
Hey, okay, so watch this. Let's find. You want to see a hot-looking picture of my wife?
This is happening right now.
This is
live.
funny because I actually have met.
That's my wife holding an
Oh,
alligator.
there's
Oh my God.
Badass,
That's
huh?
awesome.
She was at the Everglades today. That's badass. She's holding an alligator.
Wow, that is pretty badass,
I
man.
even got the poor little critter's mouth rubber banded shut, which I'm kind of against that. It's like, wait a minute, that's not right.
Of no.
Wait, you want your wife to get bit?
No.
Well, no, they may have the wrong mouth rubber banded shut. Did I say that? Oh, honey, I miss you so much. So she's
She's like over at Oregon right now.
look, there is zero chance she'll, well, I mean, I guess she might see this, but she was like, I watched a little bit of that. You guys were all just drunk and talking too much. I'm like, it's a podcast. What do you want us to do?
Wait, I'm sorry. She also knows your afternoon show that was on with Graz, right?
Yeah, she didn't pay much attention to that either. Yeah, no. She very early on got over what I did. No, she's great. She's my biggest fan. You know what? I mean, I couldn't have done this book.
Without her.
Most people, when you come home and say, hey, I want to quit my job and write a book, you're like, yeah, right.
Hey, I've tried that. It
Yeah.
didn't go well.
You know, and she was really, really cool about it and supportive. So it's, you know,
Okay, so the bottom line is you're good for another half hour.
at least, yeah, an hour. I don't have to
Okay.
be over there till 10.
Okay, good. I want to make sure. 'Cause I knew you were up against a time constraint. So
A little bit.
By,
yeah.
by the way, Gas would walk out if he was going to be late for his wife.
Oh, I know
Oh,
he
yeah,
would.
yeah.
I know he would. I know he would.
Check flight
So,
tracker and see how things are going.
all right, so let's keep going. Let's keep going. I wanted to take that time out just to make sure.
Good
So,
Lord, I got 25 mentions on Twitter. What the hell did I say?
all right, so let's do this. Does anybody in the audience that can hear me have any questions for the Gasman or Dave Clark? If you do, come on up and we'll get those answered.
Everybody who asks a question gets a free belt of Sparkle Donkey.
There you go.
Questions start.
The questions start pouring in.
How about any heckling? Anybody want to heckle?
I saw Dome. Anybody want to kiss the dome, the shiny dome?
Okay, so now we're done with Dallas.
Yeah.
We have one trophy right here. We have another trophy not here. And we're all about that treble, off that treble.
Not that treble, not that
Forget the
bass,
bass.
not that bass.
If we lose to LA, which we won't, do we care? Does the season still mean a lot? Do we have to go all the way if we lose in the MLS Cup? I know it's a terrible question. I know you hate it, but I'm doing it anyway. I'm doing it anyways.
I mean, I think
Where are we at
I
right
think
now?
We care. I think. I think it's I always thought in pro sports that if you get to your conference championship game or your league championship game and play really well, you don't lose 6-0. You just play your asses off and you lose a heartbreaker in any sport. I'm like, it's hard to call that an unsuccessful season, even if you were the odds-on favorite. I mean, I don't know. Let's think back. If the infamous tip doesn't land in, I'm drawing a blank, who caught it for the Seahawks?
Smith.
Marcus Smith. If it doesn't land in his hands, but it lands in Crabtree's hands instead, does that ruin all of last year? I don't know.
The year before.
Or
Right.
2001, the Mariners, 116 games.
Yeah.
Great season. Was that a failure?
Now,
there are people who say it was, and
the
I
difference
can't.
the difference with them, Dave, to interrupt, is they did get blown out against the Yankees. I'd feel better about that season if it had gone to the seventh game, last second, last inning, but I think that's I mean, were the 2005 Seahawks a failure?
No.
They were great. They were
2012
so
the
Seahawks.
MVP
great.
and made the Super Bowl.
Yeah, or the 2012 Seahawks lost to Atlanta.
I think it's really disappointing. I think the Supporters Shield certainly. Look. Here's the thing: had you not won the Supporters Shield, and now you're asking me this question, then the season is really. I don't know.
If it was just another Open Cup, we're used to that. If it was just another good but not great regular season,
We've
done that.
Yeah, right.
We'd be the Atlanta Braves then.
Right. And supposedly there was a story last week that they're talking about extending Ziggy, which I think is appropriate.
Yes.
I know there's always people that want to fire the coach in every sport.
Trust us, we had those discussions.
All they've done with Ziggy is win. And Graz and I used to beat this phrase into the ground. Don't get tired of winning. Don't get tired of winning. And
Don't get tired of winning.
Look, the Sonics got tired of winning, and now they're in Oklahoma City. Now, I'm not saying because they got rid of George, they ended up in Oklahoma City, but the point being,
It started the chain.
it started the chain of events that led to it, The Seahawks, to a certain extent, got tired of winning and ran Holmgren off, which was a dumb move. And now they ended up falling into a pool full of mermaids, but I mean, they had to go through
a couple years.
the really tough year with Mora.
Oh, God.
And now they got
I want to fall into a pool of more.
What about so I hope they do get Ziggy extended. I hope he wants to stay here. I hope he wants to keep coaching because I think the guy, all you do is win with him.
His statements
all
were
you do.
pretty clear. He did the podcast that Gas hasn't been on yet. That's affiliated with my blog, and he said on there he'd like to extend.
If you watched the show last time, he said he'll never be on that show because he loves us better. No, I'm kidding.
He wants to extend, and even after he's done coaching, he would like to be affiliated with this organization.
Yeah.
As we were talking about athletes, this is Siggy's second home now.
Yeah. Exactly.
And it's pretty clear. I don't think that was true 2 years ago, but it's definitely true now.
Yeah.
This isn't just a job for Siggy Schmidt
No, I
anymore.
agree.
Yeah.
What I found interesting, again, was reading your book, which I actually read before you visited the show.
Unlike our friend
Lee
Lee.
Rayall. But I found it, and I had because I tweeted at about the 12th minute of the Portland game last year when we were in Portland, fire Siggy, hashtag fire Siggy.
Right,
I
yeah,
did. I was
yeah,
all
yeah.
over that because
Right.
I started in Shelby Joseph,
Oh, my God.
which I'm sorry to bring it up, but I got to bring it up.
Come on, man.
No, I'm never gonna.
We're
You know me.
joyous.
I'm a dead horse beater. That's my middle name, right?
Jesus.
So,
Yeah.
but
You laugh
but
at first,
reading your
but
book,
then it's like-
it and I told you this last time. It changed my view on Siggy, like 180.
Yeah.
This whole year has changed my view too. But your book, which I read in the summer before we were like Open Cup champions and Supporter Shield champions, etc. I have a totally different view of Siggy and the organization and everything
Yeah.
because of your book, because you portrayed a whole different world that I had never seen before. And I'm not promoting your book, but
No,
I
you
am.
should promote
But I am.
away.
Promote the crap out of that book.
Promote the crap out of that book.
Buy this
man.
book.
No,
Yeah.
and I seriously highly recommend the book
but-
too, especially for those of us who are
non-reader.
non-soccer crazy
Yeah.
fans. Like a lot of my Seahawks buddies that I tailgate with on Sunday, a guy came in that actually met with Ziggy for a one-on-one coffee. He's a coach at a community college, and Ziggy met with him. Could you just teach him, or just share with him advice?
Yeah, that's how he is.
And my buddies that tailgate with me, I was like, listen, check out this book, and you'll see the connection that Mike Holmgren had with bringing Casey Keller to the Sounders.
Right.
And at the same time, how soccer pretty much saved the Seahawks by having the stadium here.
Right.
So it's
Got
great.
The stadium built. There's no doubt about that.
Right.
And it's a
No
great
doubt.
book for Seattle sports fans,
Well,
not just Sounders fans.
And we talked about fulcrums earlier. How about last November, they spent a real serious day in Los Angeles, Adrian, Joe, and Ziggy. And as Adrian tells me, or as Ziggy tells me, Adrian said to him, hey, let's go down to L.A. and talk with Joe, and
pack your bag and come with me.
he goes, you can fly down on my plane, but you may want to make other arrangements for how you get back up here.
Right.
Now, I don't know if Ziggy was just pulling my chain or not. But, I mean, look, and Ziggy knew it. Everybody was like, look, they may decide that they got to move on here. And they made a real wise decision. And what I always liked about the decision, as much as them keeping him, was how quick they made it. They didn't fiddle fart around, man. They said, look, let's get this done. And they met and they said, boom, we're keeping him, and they moved forward. Good organizations are decisive. And, we talked about George a little while ago, Dave. This is kind of reminiscent to 95 with George. The fans wanted George Karl out of town on a rail, man. They'd lost to Denver, and then they'd lost the next year to L.A.
God, not the finger waving.
And they want George out, and they decided to keep George. And the next year they go to the finals, and they have 3 more really good years. I think that, again, it's smart when you get to the point where you go, look, we're not going to get tired of winning here. Let's keep Ziggy. And I think what they thought was, look, last year between injuries, between the Dempsey signing, which clearly it shouldn't have, but it upset the apple cart. Eddie kind of went sideways. All these issues, national team call-ups, all this other stuff. Whatever went wrong, Ziggy had earned the right to try and fix it this year. And I think that's what the decision they made, and I think it was obviously the right one.
Bring your people. So, and he did that, he brought in Chad.
It's funny. We've seen it a lot in non-soccer. You can't fire the players.
Right.
And you know what they just proved?
Yeah.
You can fire the players.
Yeah, right.
They fired a lot of the players.
Yeah,
It was a cleaning.
In this league, you still can because of what they make.
Exactly.
In this league, you can fire the players because with the exception of, and I have no idea how the contracts are worded, but with the exception of about 3 guys on this team, they could get rid of anybody.
Options,
they get rid of them, and they owe them whatever the contract's worth, and it would be very little. And
It's really easy in this league to clear out. They did. It's not a commitment that most leagues allow you to do. But even in most leagues that allow you to do it, the general manager would fire the coach before he'd fired 8, 9, 10, like a third of the team.
Right, because it's easier, it's like, okay, we're,
So it was a risk. It was a gamble. Adrian's big on gambling, and he made what clearly was the right choice now.
And I thought it was the right choice even then, and I guess, look, if they'd come out of the blocks and gone 2-10, they were going to make a change. But I just thought, this is great. And I'm glad they're in a position now where they're talking about extending him. They should. And he's been, again, if this sport was just another tick more mainstream, everyone will be talking about Ziggy the way we think of him, which is if you're going to list the greatest coaches who've ever coached in this town.
Don James, Lenny Wilkens, Ziggy Schmidt.
Yeah,
Mike Holmgren.
Maybe
Mike
Lou
Holmgren.
Piniella.
Mike Holmgren.
I think Piniella would
Mike
be in
Holmgren
there.
and Piniella.
Holmgren.
I don't
Holmgren
know.
in there? You don't put Holmgren?
If
I would
if
put Holmgren in.
MLS if MLS was a major sport, I would put Ziggy Schmidt over Mike Holmgren without a doubt.
Wow.
Because Mike had some pretty bad seasons.
He did. I mean, those first 4 years.
Did you watch the Sounders?
When he tried to do
the
everything,
playoffs?
when Mike Holmgren tried to do everything,
It was no good.
I agree.
It was no good.
so
But I remember sitting in a Denny's off of 99 by the Space Needle, by the you remember old Oz/DV8 nightclub.
Yeah.
I remember sitting at that Denny's.
I went to that place, by the way.
The day that we got Holmgren.
the day we captured Mike
in
Holmgren.
Sunday morning newspaper, and I was like,
Oh my God.
oh my god!
I think I worked a
was
14-hour day. I was at KGR then.
But I'm a fan though. I'm a fan though, not like you
No,
guys
no,
that are
but
serious.
it was a
I'm
huge
a
deal.
fan.
It
We've
was
had some
huge.
great coaches here. That's one thing. But Ziggy now is right up there on that
He
Mount
is, he
Rushmore.
is.
I mean, there's no doubt.
And I think the supporters show had a lot to do with it. I think going back to your original question,
I asked a question.
No, I don't want to. Man, that fucking question hurts.
Oh, it was a long
to-
time ago.
To
Okay.
consider that we're not going to win, that we may not win, but
Don't bring that up
no,
again.
having that support shield here still makes it a great
A
season for
double.
us. Yeah.
A double. It's
Yeah.
and to put that in other sports perspectives, we haven't had that kind of success, really.
Yeah. It's a little different because that's what they don't have the tournaments
They,
and such.
they don't
but,
have the regular
Look,
season.
this
they have-
franchise has been sensational, and there's a lot of credit to go around. But really, at the end of the day, it's the coach that you got to go look what they've done on the field, and he's done it on the field because the front office has set them up to succeed. And they've done one of the things they talk about is how united they all stand and what they want to do. That they have huge arguments in the coach's office between him and his staff and all that, but that when they finally get to whatever the agreement is,
They're outward facing.
yeah. Nobody says, well, I didn't want to do it this way. There's none of that stuff with them. They're like, hey, this is how we're doing it, and it doesn't matter what I thought in the room.
They choose players by committee, but once the committee's made a choice,
Yeah.
everybody's behind
He's
it.
our guy.
And
He's
it's
our
wonderful
guy, yeah.
to see. I have to take this opportunity because I don't say it to a lot of soccer fans. Gas's book, I have to pump it up. Anybody watching this show knows that I've been intimately involved with the Sounders and covering it since 2008.
You have?
The Sparkle Donkey's starting to talk now. Yeah. You guys are kind. You're kind.
Gas talked to me. I'm in the book.
Like
but
2 blocks from here.
Yes.
Right? Didn't we meet at a coffee shop down here?
Yes.
Maybe
And
more.
But more importantly was when I got the final read, I learned something.
Yeah, I
And-
appreciate that.
Yeah.
That was something I
and
was
to
really
me,
hopeful.
that's important because I thought I knew as much as I could about this team
Yeah.
and this sport in the Puget Sound.
Well,
And
Wait, this is Dave Clark, Sounder.
I'm an
Heart.
arrogant bastard.
he is an arrogant.
And-
Better than is his Twitter handle.
It's literally better than average.
Bingo, I won.
And when I picked up that book, I learned stuff every time. I've
Here's
read it
the
3
thing.
times already.
For Sounders fans, here's the thing. There are guys who you don't know. Most Sounders fans have never heard of Gary Wright.
No.
They haven't heard of Todd Lywicki.
Or the Mendoza.
Fred Mendoza.
I want to meet him.
There are guys. Fred's
hopefully.
another.
Oh,
You
man,
know what?
I
You
really
guys ought to
wanna
have
meet
Fred
him.
down here.
We talked about it last time too. We need
Fred's
to
a
figure out-
lawyer. They don't pound Sparkle Donkey in him, or he'll just get sued. You'll end up in court. He'll own your house. He's a shark. No, Fred is a huge. Fred's as big a hero as this town has
Yeah,
for
really
soccer.
Big time, yeah.
Like,
Huge,
yeah.
and people don't know who he is.
Like, the stadium would not be here.
No
without him.
doubt.
Behind the stadium and getting the support of the soccer community.
I think it's so appropriate. I didn't know at the time what it meant, but they gave him a crystal soccer ball, the opening game.
Yeah.
That was inscribed to Fred Mendoza, keeper of promises, maker of dreams.
Wow.
And Fred beat. You know about beating the horse. Fred worked every back channel to help get MLS here and to get that stadium done for
And
MLS
he took, as you
specifications.
said in your book, he took a chance by doing the turf as opposed to grass.
He took a big beating
I mean,
on
he-
that.
and it
ball.
still gets beaten
Yeah.
in the
Today.
diehard soccer community
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah.
I have to relay this story, and I don't think I've told Gas this before. About 2 weeks before I left KJR, the Seahawks had reached out to us and said, hey, we're giving you guys a tour, the opportunity to see, at the time it was this Seahawks stadium.
Uh-huh.
We're going to give you a tour of it. We're going to tell you all the amazing things that we've done. Every stop we took on that tour was, this is what it's like for the NFL, this is what it will be like for soccer.
Yeah.
Every single stop. And I think it was Drew Pearson leading that tour.
Dave Pearson.
Dave Pearson.
Yeah.
He led that tour. I was just a producer for the night show at the time
Yeah.
on my way out, and they still gave us a tour. They still talked about soccer. This was August of 01.
Yeah, right.
And
right.
it was, we put sightlines in that aren't the best for NFL, but they offer a compromise for when we host soccer games because that's part of what we're going to do. And they said that the entire time. We went to the press box, we toured lower bowl, upper bowl, we went to literally the worst seats in the stadium. Every conversation included soccer then.
Yeah.
And to me, when people say, oh, the Seahawks didn't want soccer, you know what? As a guy who wasn't covering soccer at the time, they made it pretty clear.
Yeah.
Soccer was part of it.
They will say, to this day they will say, and they said it on the record in 1997 when the election happened, this stadium election would not have passed had we not been contacted by a guy named Fred Mendoza who said, if you'll build the stadium to soccer specifications, I'll help deliver the 400,000 registered Washingtonians who play soccer. This is 1997, or 300,000, whatever it was, and it passed 51% of the state voted, and it passed 51.2 to 48.8. So it was razor
There's a
thin.
couple thousand people, and I know I didn't live here at the time. I was stationed overseas when the vote
Protecting
happened.
the world.
But it was there were a lot of compromises made,
Yeah.
And I think it
and
goes back
without
to-
those compromises, we're watching soccer at a 15,000 seat stadium in southern Kent,
Right.
and
It's just not the same. It is
we're
just,
Dallas or Chicago.
Right.
Pretty much.
It's not near the ubiquitous thing that it is now.
Yeah, and that's what, and I'm not just doing it to come to the book. As a sports fan, learning that, it makes me a better sports fan.
Yeah.
It makes me appreciate what we have.
It makes you proud to be from
It
Seattle.
is.
The
It
way everybody
totally does.
cooperated.
Totally
It
does.
doesn't
Right.
always happen.
So I have a question for you guys. So I did a straw poll, which is an online poll where you can do this thing where it's a very simple thing and you can set whatever you want to.
SurveyMonkey, right.
Yeah. Strawpoll.com. Strawpoll.me. So I did one because I'm trying to decide, do I want to buy an Xbox One or a PS4? I haven't decided yet. So my daughter saw me doing this, and she saw the results coming in. So she asked me, can she make one? So she did. And she asked my Twitter, that I did on my account, my Twitter fans, what sport is your favorite sport? Now, asking my Twitter fans, it's kind of a bias because they're almost all soccer fans, right? But it was interesting to have her look at this and say that, what would you, Mr. Football, as an ex-Mr. Football, like my whole life was football, baseball. I grew up as a Tiger fan in Michigan when I grew up. I was a Wolverine fan.
That's right.
I was a Wolverine fan,
happened to
which
him?
we were really good.
Wow.
I was the Lions fan, which we've never been good. And I was a Tigers fan, which we've been good. We were good, kind of off and on.
Tigers have always been
But
pretty
they're
good.
decent.
Yeah.
Denny McClain, et cetera, right? But '84, I was there.
Yeah.
So it was interestingly enough, what would you vote? And I'm going to ask you two in a minute, but what would you vote your favorite sport? If you had to choose one sport, basketball, hockey, baseball, soccer, or American football?
For being a fan of,
What's your favorite sport?
Are we playing You Can Only Have One?
One.
Yes.
No, for this,
Are you
yeah.
serious?
You
You
can
can
only have one. For real. Because my daughter, 11-year-old, you haven't met her yet. You know her. It was an
you're
interesting,
asking
to
me
me, it
this
was,
coming off, I haven't been to the Super Bowl.
I
you
know.
this. I was
But
at the
to
Super
me, it
Bowl.
was interesting
There's
to
no
listen.
shame in it, man.
There's
That's
no
one of the
shame.
things that's
But so here are the answers to my Twitter followers: 27 soccer, 3 football, 1 hockey, 1 baseball, no basketball.
Huh.
Now again, my skewing is, which we also use this as an educational piece for my daughter. It was all about who are you asking to get your polls. So if you ask my group, if you ask your group or your group or your group, it's gonna be different. But
It is going to be different. For me,
football, right? For you, it's football.
yeah, it's football, but very closely. Like, for me, you haven't been at the Super Bowl, sways it a lot.
No, I know, but I'm not-
just saying,
This is
having
not
that
a-
here is also
No,
like right there.
this is not a negative. This is not a like I'm
But it
calling
is-
you out.
it is
Why are you
football.
anti-soccer?
Gas. I love the gas man. He is the best ever.
Here's the thing, and here you know why football's good? You get 2 for the price of 1. He didn't say you
Yeah.
can't have college football.
You're right.
Now you get college and pro.
Yeah, I'll take
Perfect.
that. I'll take that.
Perfect. God, I don't know. I don't. And now I'm overthinking this, right?
That's
I'm,
what I did. That's
I'm
what I
almost
did.
tempted to
I
pick
was like,
baseball
I
because
gotta
it's
support
so
shit
there's
right
so many
now.
games.
I'm so much deeply involved with soccer. It's like,
Yeah.
but
No, it's not a putting you on the spot. But to
It's just
me,
what's my favorite.
it was an interesting thing to me
Yeah.
to listen to
I'm
what
really intrigued by this because you actually have. I don't know that you've ever addressed this.
What
You've been
I
on the radio.
always said to people, it took me forever to come up with a good answer to that, but I always say, you know what, and this is true, what I like is what's happening right now. In other words, I've got zero interest in the baseball hot stove thing. I just don't care. I know it's important. I know and I hope the Mariners do some good stuff, but I just don't care.
You like the game.
I like what's going on right now.
No, I agree.
Now, if I'm
That's why I was
picking
like-
one, I'd probably pick either football or I might even go basketball. I mean, my Indiana roots run deep, man, and basketball's such an important part of that
Oh,
state.
dude,
And
the
our
rallies
culture.
in the alleys.
college basketball or NBA.
College.
don't forget the rallies.
College
Alley.
Yeah,
The
so
rallies-
that-
Don't you get both? Don't I get both? You didn't
I didn't, but I'm just saying.
I kind of like the pro game. I mean, The college game. Here's why I like pro sports better than college
Davis
sports.
Stern.
Yeah, I know. But listen, here's why I like pro sports better than college. When they open the door at a professional sports team every morning, they want to do two things: win and make money. There's nothing else. That's college is all this flim-flam BS about we're trying to educate the kids and the student athlete and all that. And there's just a lot going on there that's not above board. So there's times when I find myself thinking, I don't know I'd take a pro sport probably over college. But I do love me I love me a 15-hour college football Saturday, though. I got to tell you, there's nothing like parking in the easy chair at 9 a.m. looking outside. It's pouring rain. I'm not going anywhere today.
So Dave,
this is funny. It's changed a lot over my adult life. That '94 Sonics team was the first sporting event I went to as an adult. I had the "Not in Our House" signs. I peppered them all over my 1979 Plymouth Champ.
Yeah.
I had about 75 of the "Not in Our House" placards that were handed out before that loss.
The NBA was so damn fun in this town in the 90s. Oh my God, it was fun.
I went to the Army and I loved that NBA. I love those Sonics. Yeah. I had Sonics gear. I wore it everywhere. Yeah. I let the world know that was my sport. Yeah. Over time, and probably because the Mariners were so successful in that 95 to 98 when I was active duty, I became a huge baseball fan.
Yeah.
And baseball is what got me hired as a full-timer at KJR.
Yeah.
My knowledge and understanding of baseball, I was into sabermetrics before people smarter than me were into sabermetrics.
You into numbers? Come on.
And so I went basketball, I went baseball. If I was an NFL fan, I'd probably still be, like, if I really and truly cared about the NFL, I'd probably still be working in sports radio.
Yeah.
But even then, I was mocked for being the soccer guy. I went to cover the A-League games at Memorial.
You know what? He's not lying, man. I remember he's one of the first guys I knew who was really into soccer. I say to people, it's true. I always liked soccer. I didn't pay that much attention to it, but I liked it. I wasn't one of these guys that put it down. I was like, it's kind of quirky. It's kind of fun. Dave was totally into it in the 90s at KJR, and everybody was kind of like, well, what? You're covering the Sounders?
You're an intern. There? I don't really care what you do, but realize this is not helping your career.
Remember Braz's line to Seth Everett about interns? It's one of the great moments in KJR history. Seth Everett was so proud. He was organizing the interns. He was really good at it. He'd get all the new interns, and one day we've got like our 4 or 5 new interns, and Seth, who works for MLB Network now, I think, and has a terrific career going in New York City. Seth is walking down that long hallway in the back of KJR like the Pied Piper, and he's got the 5 or 6 new interns walking right behind him like little ducklings. Cross comes around the corner, he was still smoking. Seth goes, "Hey, Cross, you want to meet the interns?" Cross goes, "Nope." And he goes, "As long as they know how to get to Mom's Teriyaki, I'll be fine with them."
It was really tough to get to Mom's. You cross the street. And yet some interns still didn't get that job.
He's like, I can't believe it. It's like, well, Cross doesn't care. It's like, that's part of being an intern. You got to get over that hump.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
But I eventually made the choice. I'm going all in on soccer.
You'd be a soccer guy, right?
And when I left KJR, I told my wife this really personal story. I'm not getting back into sports unless Seattle gets an MLS team.
Right.
And if we get an MLS team, I'm going all back in.
I'll go back in. That's cool, man. I didn't know that.
Your wife said, I'll divorce you. No, I'm kidding.
Think about this now. Again, if you want to overthink this, here's why soccer's a great choice, is because there's soccer 365 days a year. It's like I was saying about baseball. I might choose baseball because there's so many games and spread out over 7 months. Right. Soccer, every single day, there's a match somewhere in the world that matters.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, it really is, man. It's non-stop.
Yeah. So if you're going to go that, we can only have one.
Okay. All right. So we have 2 questions.
2 questions. All right.
First question.
Geez, there are a lot of questions here.
Don't you like this?
No, that's a,
I can tell. All right, everybody, we're done. Good night.
That's it. Good night. Thank you very much. Here, go get a Golazo. Yes.
Can I ask a question?
Another one? Jesus.
I have 3 now. I have 3 now. See, I have 3 now.
I'm going to call my lawyer and get her down here. Yes, please.
Can I ask a question that I didn't ask before?
Another one now? So,
Yeah, so
Very
it's like 4 now.
do you mean besides that one?
Yeah, no, I'm
But
gonna
you
come
just
back to
asked
these.
one. You
I'm
just
gonna
said,
come back.
can I
Can I
ask a
ask
question?
some questions?
That is another question. How many questions are you going to ask?
I love him so much.
He asks a lot of
I
questions.
love him.
He's real. Anyway, go ahead. Yes.
So, we love that you're here tonight. And you don't have to answer this if you don't want to.
All right.
But why are you not on your own show tonight? Is there anything that we could do as
Oh,
fans?
Yeah, what can soccer fans do to get you more?
Because
do?
listen, you said we were awesome, you
Yeah.
love us, whatever.
Yeah.
But the reality is, you bring in an incredible storytelling ability. You bring you're able to interview people in a very on the fly way. You bring great
Thanks.
people in.
Thanks.
How can we, Sounders fans, soccer fans, help get your show on? And maybe you don't want to be on all the year round, but
Well,
how do we bring you like all the way? Because this is your night. Tuesday night's
Right.
your night.
It's a sponsorship deal, and our sponsors. Now, I don't want to paint them as the bad guys here. Our
Oh, no, no.
sponsors committed for the regular season. We
Yes.
started in April, and they committed till the third week of October, and they were great. We knew in August that the primary sponsor, Metro PCS, was going to pull out. Okay, we're going to,
Yeah.
and then, okay, that's great. You guys carried the freight for a lot of months. That's fine. And frankly, I'm really disappointed that there was no. That they couldn't find another sponsor to step in, and I don't know how much effort
Have we
was
talked-
made.
Is it numbers?
No.
Is it-
Do we have to listen more often?
Well, look, that's a great question. I mean, that whole matrix is changing now. You know, the number of people that consume that show via podcast versus listening is astronomical because that's how people consume media now. They don't do it on your time; they do it on their time.
yeah.
It frustrates me as a guy who used to really be able to control when people listen to my show. But I get it. I'm the same way. I consume media when I'm in the mood to consume media. So I totally understand why it happens. I don't think it has anything to do with that. I don't know how big an effort KJR's sales staff made to get this thing sold into the playoffs. I really don't. So
No, and this is not a. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I need to say this. I'm on a national network that does really good numbers, particularly in the NFL. Sounder at Heart's hosted on SB Nation. We got some great coverage and get some amazing advertising through the entire network. Those sales guys know how to sell the NFL.
Right.
They're pretty damn good at Major League Baseball, college football, the NBA. They're okay at the NHL. They don't know how to sell soccer.
Yeah, and maybe that's it.
And
Maybe
it's
that's
hard.
it.
Like, Sounder Heart gets some great numbers.
Yeah.
Because of you.
No,
I'm kidding.
We've
I
got
know,
a
but
great team.
you do.
I laid a foundation, but
Back up and show them your jersey.
Sorry.
Oh man,
My
Would
point
you guys
is
like
more
us
that
to leave?
as long as we have that, a little private room.
my point is more that selling soccer takes something a little bit different.
I think it does.
It takes a recognition of demographic differences.
Yeah.
You see a lot. I hate to bring this up, but with Hugo around, I'm gonna. You're La Barra Verde. You know the Hispanic culture around soccer is extraordinarily strong, but selling that to a traditional sports audience is hard.
It's super hard.
And
My
here's,
best friends
here's
that I tailgate with for years, since 2009, I cannot convince 3 or 4 of them to come to a match, man. And I'm tailgating with these guys for Seahawks seasons all the time. Like, come on, it is super hard.
But when you're talking about sponsorships, guys are going to default to what's easiest because that's how they can make the most money because it's time spent. It's like I only got so many hours in the day, and I got to go find sponsors because I'm getting paid a commission and all that.
You're a successful sales dude. You know what it's like.
I do.
You got to hit the easy targets first.
Which is why I'm asking the question though, because I'm trying to figure out like how do we, the fans, who want
Your
our
content.
idol, our hero,
Yes.
and I'm not trying to inflate you up, but you are the guy who actually like cares. Softy cares. Mitch kind of whatever, but but there are fans. I mean, I love Mitch, but but there, but
He doesn't care.
No, he doesn't give a shit. But you are the beacon of light, the beacon of hope as far as sports radio, which is a interesting art. There was a couple comments here, which I won't say on the air right now, but there were some comments about what we're doing. Like, well, I'm gonna say it. Brendan Vaughn, BM Vaughn, said he watches SonarFeed for some dumb reason.
Yeah, really?
And he listens to Nos Adietas, which is on the SB Nation, Sean Hart, as the way to get news. He watches us and listens to Nos Adietas more than he listens to sports radio.
Yeah.
because we're doing a different world of
Right.
soccer.
Right.
But how do we get more viewers or listeners to somebody like yourself? Is
Yeah.
it do we need to hook you up with somebody like my bottle's gone, but like the
Sparkle Donkey.
Sparkle Donkey guys? But do we need to figure out a way for us to help crowdsource sponsors
You know,
to get you on the air off
what-
the season, or do you want to have a vacation and you don't want to do it? But
One thing that would help, one thing that truthfully
Sorry,
did
go ahead.
happen this year that was a little bit of a disappointment was
sorry,
we
I'm
started
not getting paid for that, but
we started doing the show, and we had a lot of crowds like this.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it just went away. And we had probably 8 or 10 weeks in a row where we didn't have anyone
okay.
coming to the show. Now, again, I'm not beating up the fans. Look, man, if it's not interesting or you don't want to come, that's I'm not saying, oh, you let me down. But at some point, everybody's looking around, and the sponsors looking around going, well, nobody's here.
It's the engineer, the host, and the sponsor.
And so, that's kind of where I get back to when people are doing stuff, get out and support them as much as you can. But look, I'm not saying it's the fans' fault. Part of this was, look, the deals were cut, and they were cut through the third week of October. And everyone involved right now in radio is like, okay, now that we got that done, we can do more on the NFL. They immediately went to a thing where they added another NFL show in that time slot. So that's what pays the freight these days, man. And it's just, so let's again.
So
now
are
let's
you
step
available
back.
on Tuesdays or Mondays to come
I'm
down?
available whenever you guys want me. I'll come down anytime.
A lot of it is a numbers game.
Yeah.
It really is. And if you, I say this a lot, support those that support soccer.
Right.
If you love the sport and want to see more of it, go out there, listen.
Right.
Podcast.
I mean, we did,
everybody has access to those numbers.
Yeah, and think about this. We did 28 weeks of this show.
Right.
So that's a great start. So now, hopefully next year, we're able to get in a situation where we're able to crank it back up again, and maybe we sell the sponsorships to go, look, one of the reasons we sold the sponsorships the way we did, we said, look, man, we can't plan when people, it's going to, we didn't,
week to week.
We didn't want to do shows into November if the Sounders weren't going to be there. And we didn't know at that point. It's like, let's wait and see. Right. And then by about the time we started realizing that they were, I just sensed that there wasn't a lot of enthusiasm to sell the show out of the KJR guys.
And I hope you understand this is not a negative comment. Back to our conversation earlier.
Yeah.
I just wanted to feel, because you're an open guy, you're an honest guy.
Yeah.
You're
I'll
willing
tell you
to
what's
talk about
going on.
things. Exactly.
Sure.
But I want to figure out, how do we take somebody who actually contributes to the success of our growth, and I'm segueing into two questions when I interrupted myself to ask my question.
Yeah, that's fine. So what are the other two?
So the other two are, what does Gas think? This is from Brendan Vaughn. What does Gas think it will take to make soccer bigger in Seattle? Mm-hmm. Is it the treble? Is it winning the treble? Mm-hmm. Will we have a parade? It's like a three-parter. And what do we need to make a bigger parade? So I guess
they're all related, really.
They are.
Okay, so okay, what's it going to take to make the sport bigger in Seattle? Let's think about it right now. It gets remarkable media coverage. 2 major daily newspapers cover it every single day. The TV covers it. There's talk radio on it. There are shows now. Ross is on 107.7. You guys do a show. I did my show on KJR. Michael Gray does stuff on ESPN. Dave's podcasts are great. The Sounders website has all kinds of info. It's pretty damn big here right now. Now it can continue to grow, and I think the Sounders are in an interesting position right now because it kind of felt like this was the first year where the wave rolled back a little bit. They didn't set an attendance record. They didn't miss it by much.
Yeah, 0.5 something.
But whatever. But in other words, so okay, it feels like they kind of have leveled off, which is understandable. I mean, the growth has been so fast. At some point, you're going to level for a while, and then hopefully you keep going up. I think winning the championship, I think that's a huge thing. And here's the thing. The great thing about the championship is it will be won. It won't be one of these weird away goal things. It'll be a knockout game. So that'll be awesome. And everybody will get into that. Everyone will want Seattle to win. If they're in it, they'll want them to win. And then I think as it continues to move forward, he asked about the parade. I sure hope there's a parade if they win the championship. It won't be as big as the Seahawks parade. Let's get that out of the way right now. That thing's the most monstrous. That was like Woodstock, man. Yeah. The Seahawks' next championship parade won't be as big as that parade.
In 20-degree temperatures.
It was
ridiculous. I was skiing that week, and it was terrible.
That
it was awesome,
horrible.
but terrible.
I would say I was in the emergency room with a burst appendix. I would say I was skiing.
I waited 3 hours at the freaking SeaTac light rail because it had broken down, but they didn't tell us what was going on.
I remember that.
So we had packed in, and there were a bunch of us in the 20-degree temperatures just waiting for the light rail, had no idea what was happening. We eventually got down. I saw the last 2 cars pull into the stadium, and I was like, okay, cool, I'm going to Temple.
Wait, so the fact that I was at Jackson Hole, like drinking bourbon by myself, skiing, that doesn't count?
No.
Failed.
That's lame.
But
Dude, I flew back somehow. I made it back from New Jersey. Flights delayed. You know, there was a snowstorm.
Ice
in
storm,
Chicago.
yeah.
Like, I barely made it back the morning of.
a
I still
significant
made it.
Sounders win MLS Cup. They have a parade. A significant portion of the people at the parade are going to be there because, damn, I got an excuse to get off work.
Well, yeah, that'll be part of it.
And you know what? They're going to go. They're going to see what people like the Emerald City supporters, Gorilla FC, yada, yada, go down the line. They see what the atmosphere is like, and they're like, you know what? Going to a game next year.
Yep.
I didn't care, but they won the title. I'm going to a game.
You know, here's the thing, too. They may not do a parade. Here's what I think is more likely if they win is to do a rally at the stadium. Because think about doing a parade, man. That costs a ton of money. You got to get the city involved. You get all this other stuff. I don't
They
think
got the
it's
March
as
to the Match. They got Occidental to the CenturyLink. It might only be 4 blocks,
maybe it's
but
that.
you do 4 blocks with the Open Cup,
Yeah.
the Supporter Shield, and an MLS Cup in front of you.
Oh,
Of course, you bring
dude,
it
you're
into the
talking
stadium.
soccer
It's going to
porn
be
right now.
Yeah.
buddy.
And that's heaven right there.
Yeah.
And it might only be 4 blocks, and it might only be 100,000 people
Yeah.
total
Yeah.
in stadium and out.
And even if it's less, it's so people they ought to celebrate.
60,000.
They ought to
It
celebrate.
is. It's sports history.
Hey, listen,
I
you know what?
always-
We're going to
Seattle
celebrate.
Yeah.
and Washington State sports history.
I always thought the city missed a real, and this is a little trickier because not everybody went to UW and not everybody loves the Huskies. There should have been a parade for the 91 team. They won the national championship. There should have been some kind of and they didn't do anything. I was like, that's crazy, man. We don't win championships that often that we should be jaded by it.
Right.
You know, there ought to be some. So I bet there'll be a big celebration. I would imagine it will focus more in the stadium than in a parade. But you may be right. They may do something.
Yeah.
Either way,
It's not going to be from Seattle Center.
Right. Again,
Westlake.
we got to understand. Like I said, the next
not the NFL.
The next Seahawks one, the only one that will ever be bigger than a Seahawks one would be. I think if the Mariners won the World Series, you might see a bigger crowd because the weather would be a little more decent. No one would stay home. Nobody'd be skiing in Jackson Hole.
It wouldn't be 20 degrees.
Yeah. So and I just think again that's such a far-fetched
That's so
thing
big.
right now that
Never
you might
thought
see a
about
bigger
And,
crowd
and
for
the
that.
pain's a little bit harder.
Yeah. Right.
The Seahawks had been good at various points in every generation of sports fans' life.
That's a great point, and the Mariners really have only been good
the
for
Mariners,
one.
we got 5 years of good.
Yeah.
Wait, 95-01, 6 years of good.
03. Maybe.
93 wins, didn't make the playoffs.
Right.
I know,
The,
but
the pain, and that's part of what being a sports fan is.
is,
It's
right?
about
It
that
is.
pain.
Totally is.
You go
And
through.
you know what? That's a great point. Getting back to the Sounders, we haven't known pain yet as fans.
Oh.
What will ever happen?
We've had.
No, we
we've
don't
had-
know what it's like. We
What
don't.
will
we don't. We
happen
don't.
the first time this team goes 5-25-7,
Oh, I see what you're saying. That kind of thing, you're right.
or 5-25? What do you 5-25-4? Let's say you go 5-25-4. What's it? And I hope we never find out.
Oh, God.
But let's face it, if that happens, that's going to
Jesus.
really
Gasman's
test
going to make me cry.
We
That's
don't
gonna
have
tell.
Pete Carroll's for the 7-9 and make the playoffs.
Right.
Oh my God, yeah.
And
Yeah.
be the defending
That's
Super Bowl
horrible.
champion.
Like that's horrible.
Yeah.
That's a bad year, and yet you made the playoffs because of some weird rule.
Yeah.
You know
Sounders
what everybody
fans don't
remembers
have
about
that.
Beastquake.
The Beastquake.
But sure,
It ended up.
there's great
yeah.
stories you can build about it. But as Sounders fans, and even if you were a minor league Sounders fan, you haven't had suffering in 15 years.
We are, and I say it, I've said it before, we are spoiled when it comes to being a Sounders fan. We are spoiled. We have enjoyed a lot of success.
So think about this. Think about the quirkiness of sports, because what you guys just mentioned is interesting. A lot of very casual or non-informed soccer fans today are somewhat rightfully saying, now wait a minute. They played to a 0-0 tie and they win, and you go, well, it's just quirky that way. And now you can look right back to what we were just talking about. Wait a minute, the Seahawks went 7-9 and hosted a playoff game? How'd that happen?
Yeah.
Well, it's just the weird, quirky nature of the rules. It fell in their favor, and then that led to one of the great games. So sports are always about that. There's always weird little things you can go, well, that doesn't make sense. Like, yeah, that's sports, man. It doesn't always make sense.
following up on your conversation a minute ago, who will the new? Because you said that this year is the first year in our 6 years in MLS that we have not broken the MLS attendance record.
Razor thin. They came very close. But yeah, right. They didn't break
like,
it.
what was it, 25 people or
It
200
was
people a game?
0.5 something percent.
Yeah, which is like 200 people a game.
Let me ask you real quick before you go further. What would the reaction have been if the Sounders had bought up enough tickets to break it? If they had said, you know what, we're buying up enough tickets for the last game, we're going to give them to kids groups, and that way we'll break the record.
As a fan of charity, as a fan of somebody who wants to help other people, I would have been all over that.
I wonder why they didn't. I mean, and it's easy for me to spend their money.
Right.
Maybe that's it.
I'll be back.
I mean, they have.
Anyway, so where are the new fans going to come from? Right?
Yeah, right, exactly. So Grimesy -1 here said, who will the new fans be, and where will the new fan growth come from? Like, how do we take this core group? So when he goes to the games for Seahawks games, which I'm an I had to choose where I spent my money.
Right.
And I'm now a Seahawks. I mean, I was a Seahawks season ticket holder.
Right.
Now I'm a Sounders. Because I can bring all my family for less than I spent for like one ticket for Seahawks.
Right.
But where do we bring the growth for the Sounders? What is it? What group? Where do they come from? In your opinion?
The phrase I've used in talking with the Sounders, I think it's a big challenge for them right now, and I think they're up to the task. They have got to deepen and widen their footprint. They've got to take the people that are 100% committed now and get deeper with, somehow get them even more deeply involved. And then they've got to take the fringe and make it wider, get that lake a little wider, that's incorporating the kind of casual fan that says, oh, I'll buy a ticket last Monday night. I bet it sounds like it'd be kind of fun. I'll go to one game or two games this year, that kind of thing, and embrace them. And, I think it just comes from sports fans. So it's funny. We tend to focus, I think, on the people that quote unquote hate soccer. Oh, this guy hates soccer. I don't meet that many people who hate soccer. I meet a ton of people who say, yeah, I went once and it was kind of cool. So now how do you get a repeat out of that person who kind of liked it and kind of had a good time? How do you get them to be a repeat customer? I don't have a good answer to that. I mean, I've got some ideas. I got things I think they should probably be doing, but we'll see. We'll see if they start doing it.
Okay, so here's a follow-up question, and Hugo, it involves you.
I see it.
So BM Vaughn says, I want Gas to lay into the lack of outreach to Latino fans. We should be going to Yakima with player appearances. So let me ask you a question. If we set up a SonarFeed remote where we went to Yakima and brought out the Yakima fans, for instance, and we could use some of your contacts and said, let's do a live video podcast from Yakima.
Let's cut to the chase. Do I have to go to Yakima?
I will, yes.
All right, that isn't going to happen.
Over. Done.
No, it's
We're
an
done.
interesting thing. I didn't.
Do you think the Latino? So there's two questions here. Do you think his question of is that a fan base we need to go after more, and or if we set up something with our friends in Yakima, which we have a lot of friends over there, would that be something that would be interesting to you?
I don't know. I would need to see what's the percentage of Sounders fans in Yakima. How many of them watch TV? How many of them are willing to drive 3 hours to come to a match?
Well, we have a group of our friends that do it every day, every match,
Do they?
every match.
Good for them.
Yeah. It's amazing.
That's amazing. That really is amazing.
It's not a huge it's not like thousands.
No.
Yeah.
But there's a group of them,
Like
core
core
group of
group.
them, every match.
One of them drove with us to Utah earlier in the summer to go watch him in person.
Well, I think he's on to something to the extent of and saying they got to do more player appearances. There's only a finite number of those you can do. I don't know truthfully how many you're going to do in Yakima. I mean, that's a hard thing to do. I will say this. If I were running the zoo down at the Sounders, I would certainly take a step back and go, how is it possible that Clint Dempsey has been in this town for a year and 2 months and nobody feels like they know him? He hasn't done a big in-depth interview. He hasn't done appearances. He hasn't done – and look, and I'm not trying to beat him up. I know that's probably one of the reasons he wanted to come here and say, look, I don't want to do that. I like being me. I know he's
definitely not out there like Russell Wilson.
He's kind of a country guy, and I think he loves his kids, I'm told. He just wants to be a family guy and likes to do that. But at some point, And it's almost incumbent upon the very top of the ownership group to say, Clint, we need you. And I would say, as a fan and observer, Clint, we need you. The battle isn't won yet, and we need you. You don't need to go out every night. I'm not saying that.
He does so much national stuff.
He does a lot of that, but he needs to do some local.
But part of it is great. The Sounders get 10 more fans in Milwaukee.
Right. Yeah, what's that doing for me? Get him. I mean, he
spend those same hours here.
Yeah. We and again, the Sounders were sensational about getting me players for my show. Sensational. But I asked for Clint and Oba every single week, and we never got them. And that's, again, I don't want to turn this into well, they let me. But I would kind of say, hey, here's how you grow the fan base.
Really
Let's get your superstar. It's crazy to me that there wasn't a feature on Obafemi Martins until yesterday in the Times. I mean, how is that?
Great
It was
feature.
awesome. It was
I would
cool.
say Lee Real and Hugo would never be on the show again if Oba came on ever again.
I'll be honest.
I would quit.
I've talked to Oba a lot.
Yeah.
I'm a decent interviewer.
Yeah.
Oba's not a great interviewer.
I've heard that.
It takes a long time
right
to get that with Oba. And so part of that is his nature.
So maybe you're saying, hey, you know what? Oba does not want to be interviewed, but he could come to this show because we know there's Sounders fans there, and he could sit at a table and sign autographs for a half hour. And again, look, man, Oba needs his rest, and I'm just saying, the question was, how do they grow? I think these are some of the things, is to maybe, every appearance can't be Zach Scott and Brad Evans. They've got to get some of the big dogs out there once in a while.
You're talking about world-class players that the rest of the world sees how talented, the guys that were here visiting from London and Australia, they're like, they watched Oba, they're like, that guy is amazing in person. It is amazing to watch this guy do what he does on the field. And I think the average local fans, we appreciate it, but when we're looking at growth, the average fans that loves the Seahawks or Russell Wilson needs to be able to say, who's the equivalent of Russell Wilson for the Sounders? Well, we don't have that relationship.
Right, and we talk about, because how are we going to grow? And we talk about media coverage and all that. So it's no secret that, say, Brock and Salk, they never talk soccer. They go out of their way not to. What would now Mike Salk's a smart guy, and he's a good guy. What would be his reaction if Adrian Hanauer called him and said, hey, I could get Clint Dempsey to come by your radio show for 20 minutes? And instead of sitting back and going, they never talk about soccer, saying, hey, why don't we find a way to get them to talk about soccer? So let's get Clint. And again, sometimes this is easier said than done.
He's a name that moves the needle.
Right. I mean, ESPN
you and I
Radio,
know those groups.
Look, they're going to get a pop out of that nationally if they have him in, and they know
Oba
that.
moves my needle.
Yeah, he does.
All right.
I'm sorry, what?
Oba moves my needle.
Oba thighs.
That's another movie Lee's starring in.
All right, so we're going to do one last thing.
Okay.
S2.
S2. Can I tell you, I'm not wild about the name. I don't know if that matters to anybody. I'm not, but I kind of was hoping there'd be something. I don't know what it would be. S2? Hey, we're going to the S2 game tonight. I don't know. But that wasn't your question. I'm sorry.
No, it is. No, it is. I'm just saying, very broadly, S2. Like, you look at the book you wrote. You touched on the first team now.
Yeah.
As we're calling them the first team, right?
Right.
What they're doing, I saw the logo, and Andrew came on. Andrew, the GM.
Right, yeah.
He came on the show a few weeks ago.
Terrific guy, huh?
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Fantastic guy.
Yeah.
And we asked him, and Lee
Lee
especially.
went
Lee
hard on.
actually, Lee didn't.
S2 thing?
Oh, my God.
Really?
Lee
awesome.
laid it.
drilled him.
Oh, my God.
Like nobody
Lee drilled him.
You would have loved
Telling
it.
you, the porn references never stop.
Never stop.
Especially with Lee.
I think, okay, let's remove the S2 thing for a moment. This is another example of the Sounders being unbelievably committed to the sport, to the brand, to the, they don't have to do this. No. And by doing it, and by really, hey, we're going to make a commitment to this level of soccer, and it's going to benefit them. It's not totally benevolent. I mean, they are going to benefit out of this. So I think overall, I thought it was really impressive. I thought the rollout was really impressive. The press conference that day, Dave, you and I were there. I thought that was real, a tad long. I might encourage them next time to, Joe Perry of Aerosmith has one of the great lines ever. He says their songwriting philosophy was always summed up in one sentence: don't bore us, get to the chorus. And I thought that press conference, I'm like, get to the chorus, let's go, let's get to the...
I knew a lot of things that were supposed to happen on that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, you're not getting to the meat.
Right, yeah, right.
All we want right now,
yeah.
We don't want your salad, we don't want your soup.
You get to the Zach Scott
You've
part.
got me antipasta, meat.
Remember Homer when he's watching Bachman turn over and he goes, get to the taking care of business part.
It's the same. It's the same thing, and that's going to be their struggle. They're a minor league team. They understand that. They're a youth development team. They know that. But the meat is, as a Sounders fan, why do I care?
Yeah, right.
No,
And
fair enough.
If they were outside of this kind of narrow Seattle area, another brand might make sense. If they were deep in the South Sound where most of their fan
Or
base...
Spokane or whatever.
Yakima.
Yeah.
We
Yakima.
talked about it.
There
If they
you
were in
go.
Yakima.
There's your Yakima deal right there. They should have put it down
Boise.
in Yakima.
Um,
To hell with Boise. They're in a different state. We don't care.
But if they were in those kinds of places, different name, makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
But right here, you're the future of the Sounders.
Right.
You need to make every Sounders fan know.
Yeah.
Why does it matter?
Right. And that's going to be a little bit of a challenge. And but again, and I think we're nitpicking a little. I think the bigger thing is, wow, what a commitment they made that they didn't have to make. And now you are gonna reach new fans. You're gonna reach fans that either don't like the big stadium experience or can't afford the big stadium experience, and instead are gonna go over to Tequila and probably pay about a third of the price. Yeah. Here's the thing, they got to get beer in that stadium. I mean,
they will be.
They will. They can't keep hurting everybody. Here's the thing, it's an accident waiting to happen, hurting everybody wants to drink a beer into that tiny little area. It's ridiculous.
And it will be gone. It will be there.
Good.
It feels...
What we drilled them about. Wesley was here.
Did you get
That was
after
the
him?
number one question.
It will be there. Beer will
Growing
be
up
there.
in Indiana, you know what high school basketball is like.
Right.
High school basketball in Indiana is a big deal.
Yeah.
Starfire is the high school soccer kind of thing.
Yeah.
I saw it in Texas when I was stationed there.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
That's high school football, and it doesn't have a professional atmosphere. There's a lot of great words about what's going to change it. Got to see it.
My first year in Seattle was '91, and I forget who was coaching the Husky basketball team then. It was just a disaster. It wasn't Bender. It was the guy before Bender, and they were just horrible. And I remember doing a thing on my show, and this was pre-internet. It took a little work to get these numbers. 7 Indiana high school teams outdrew the Huskies for their season.
Wow.
Because the Huskies drew like 2,500 fans a game, and it might have been more. It might have been like 10 or 12. It was a significant number. So the minor league thing can be very. I mean, look, I think the Tacoma Rainiers are a very successful business. I think the Everett Aqua Sox are a very successful. Those things can be really successful on their level. And I would bet on the Sounders based on their organization, based on the people in there. I think they know what they're doing. I think this has been a challenging year for them. That split from the Seahawks that happened in April, it's been a challenge for them to kind of come up to speed.
They're coming up with their own front office identity, if we could say, per se.
Yeah, they've had to come up with a lot of stuff. I mean, I remember I heard a story that they were 6 or 8 days in their new offices, and their computer system just went to hell. Yeah. And they're like, we got to call IT, and then they suddenly realized we don't have IT. IT was the Hawks. We got to get an IT department. So I mean, there's a lot of little things like that they've had to really scramble to get going. My money's on them to make that work.
All right, so we're past our time.
All right.
We have to go. However, there's a few last housekeeping efforts that we have to do.
Okay.
Number one, we do a tournament, a FIFA tournament every year. This is our 3rd annual FIFA tournament. The first year we raised $700. The second year we raised $2,200.
Wow.
This year we're aiming between $3,000 and $5,000.
That's fantastic.
We're going to buy a few books off the air to donate to the charity.
Okay, good.
We're going to pay for them,
yeah.
but we're donating them from our group.
To like an auction type thing?
For an auction thing, okay?
Good.
We'll let you know the exact date.
Yeah.
The date was announced, and we're waiting for one word. It may change by a day or two, but we'll find out.
All right.
If you're available, we want you down here.
Sure.
If not,
is it here?
It's here.
All right. I'll come down.
Video games at a bar.
Wow.
I don't
tell you
play,
something.
I drink.
Last year,
Will there be
guess
hockey
who won?
on? Because I'm not a big video game guy. Can I watch hockey?
The Seahawks game will be on. If there's an, there'll be an away game. But guess who won it last year when we hosted it?
Lamar Nagel.
Lamar Nagel.
Really?
Bunch of Academy kids show up for it.
That's awesome.
He
I'd
showed
love to be a
up.
part
He
of that.
showed up as a Twitter comment. He showed up the first year,
Yeah.
randomly,
Yeah.
and then he came back the second year. And he said, "I want to come back this year." Now the only problem is, he's getting married.
What? I'm sorry.
He's getting married.
Who, Lamar?
Lamar is.
Wow.
And we're waiting to find out
can't be a
what
secret.
day. I know it's not. So we're waiting. But regardless, we'll tell you about it.
All right.
That's number one. Okay. So we're gonna buy some books off the air.
All right.
To donate.
We'll take care of you.
And number two, we gave you a mug, if I recall correctly, last time you were here.
Yes. It sits on my desk.
And unfortunately, we didn't give you the shirt.
Oh, wow. Oh, look, I like that. Look at that. That's outstanding.
Official Gasman
Ein
Berliner
Berliner.
shirt.
That's awesome.
So here's your shirt, finally.
Oh, you guys are great. Thank you
So-
very much.
And
The
we got
mug
the right
sits on my
size.
desk.
We got the right size and lot.
No, my Sounder at Heart sweatshirt is awesome. Actually, it's good for the winter time. It's going to be
It
perfect.
fits him, his dog, his wife.
It is
Kids he
the
doesn't
double
have.
X is more than enough, man. Going through life as an X is hard.
Oh, it
People
truly
don't
is.
understand
It
it.
truly is. They don't.
We're discriminated against
It really
because of
is,
our
dude.
beautiful bodies.
There's more parts of love, but people still don't understand
They
that. It's
don't
hard to find
understand
right
it. The
clothing.
little guys never get it. They never get it.
And as a fangirl,
Yes.
thank you for...
Want to go make out in the alley?
I do.
Oh, hold
Frisbee?
on. Wait, let me take a selfie. Let me take a selfie. Oh, wait. Let's get
Oh,
it.
come on. You're doing video or what? Come on, really?
All right.
All right, do it one more time.
Awesome.
All right, but thank you for coming out tonight
Sure,
again.
sure.
And anytime you want to come talk with a bunch of Nimrods,
Yes.
You guys are the best. You guys are my favorite
welcome
Nimrods.
because,
Nimrods in town.
listen,
I got a group of buddies. We go back to 6th grade together. We used to go camping every year. Then we went our separate ways. We still get together about every 2 or 3 years. Last summer, we got together in Chicago and went to an Aerosmith concert, which ended with one of us in the emergency room, not me, from alcohol poisoning. So we haven't lost any of our swerve, and we call ourselves the Nimrods because our camper that we used to use was a buddy's mom had a trailer. It was a Nimrod brand
oh
trailer.
my God.
Oh, that is
So there's about 8 or 10 of us, and we've stayed in
Classic.
touch over the years. So that's why I called you. Nimrods is a very big term of
awesome.
endearment for
And
me.
our term of endearment is jerk ass, which
Yeah.
but yes, that's last comment. We are driving to LA.
Are you now?
He's 50-50.
Now, the last time I'm here, you guys are driving to Salt Lake. You're aware that about 4 miles from here, there's this cool thing called an airport.
I know, right?
And it's got
Hello?
these big steel
Hello,
things.
Mr. Tons
They've
of
got
Miles.
and it's almost like they got rocket engines.
This
and
guy has, like, tons of
they
miles.
shoot them out of here like every minute,
You get
24
drinks.
hours a
You get
day.
drinks on
There's
board.
cocktails on board. And
Cocktails?
like magic, within an hour or 2 or 3, bang, you're right where you were trying to go. So I just want to
Exactly.
make sure you're aware of that.
Exactly.
But you're driving to LA.
We are.
Wow. Well, have a good
And
trip.
we are going to take, we already have one, probably looking for one more person who wants to donate. We have a couple $100 offer for someone to donate to our charity event next month to travel with us.
So their
I'll
price.
give you
that?
$200 if you don't even bother me. I don't want to go to LA with you guys.
You heard it right
I'm
there.
in.
All I know is the biggest regret in my Sounder fandom is Erin and this group offered to take me down to the Battle at Kazar Open Cup game.
Which
Oh,
started
wow,
our show.
wow.
That was the original.
And
show.
I said no.
That's right. That did start your show. And I've told you guys, I consumed that game on an old radio.
Yeah.
Ross was so on his game that night because I couldn't get the stream or whatever. That game's legendary, man. It was really cool. And you didn't go, huh?
Big regret. Big regret.
Yeah,
These
yeah.
guys are buddies of mine. We all live within a couple miles of each other.
Yeah.
We hang out in non-soccer environments quite a bit. And I was like, I did the responsible thing. And that flushed a bunch of memories down the toilet that I could have had.
You did
So
the
if you have the
responsible thing.
opportunity to
Yeah.
do a Waze support,
Yeah.
if it's financially available to you, you do it.
Yeah, it's fun. I went to Portland 2 years ago. It was a blast. LA, though. Huh?
Don.
Yeah.
Don words.
Mr. Sparkle Donkey himself.
All right, so we're gonna log off with our normal thing. Gasman,
Thanks,
Dave,
guys.
Clark.
This is awesome.
I mean,
Thanks.
Sparkle
Anytime.
Donkey.
Anytime. I'll come down to the FIFA thing, too.
Yep.
love it. Thank you so much.
Great. Thanks, guys. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks very much.
Wrong, sir, wrong. Wrong, sir, wrong. Wrong, sir, wrong. You lose a contract signed by him. You get washed. You get sterilized. You get nothing. Splendid Gloria Culpa, Memo Bis, Punitor Della Casa, etc. You're a swindler. Wrong, sir. Wrong. You're a cheat. Wrong, sir. Wrong. You're a swindler. Wrong, sir. Wrong. You're a monster. Good day, now you lose. Get 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 37 deep if I full of static coffee. 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 You stole nothing, you what? You stole nothing, you what? You stole nothing, you what? Chocolate? Wrong. You lose. Black and white over there. Black and white over there. Black and white over there. Black and white over there.
Mr. Luca?
I said, Mr. Walker. I said,
Mr. Luca?
I said, I said, I said,
Mr. Luca? Mr. Luca?
I said, I said,
Mr. Luca?
I said, good day.
When does he get it?
He doesn't,
Why not?
because he broke the rules.
What rules? We didn't see any rules, did we, Charlie?
Wrong, sir, wrong. Wrong, sir, wrong. Wrong, sir, wrong. Wrong, sir, wrong. You lose. Contract signed by him. You